Therefore, old Lu blocked the door of the dean of students' office early in the morning. He would not leave until he agreed. Now that the principal was not in the school, many things were handled by the dean of students. Being blocked by his own teacher, the dean of students had no choice but to agree with a bitter smile. In any case, it was just picking someone up. It could be considered as running errands. Some of the students in the top class were not willing to do it. In the end, the task of picking them up fell on class 4. As Wu Zhihao spoke, he said to Fang Ping and the others, "You don't have to attend tomorrow morning's classes. We'll gather at the school gate before 9 o'clock and take the school bus to the station. We will also be accompanying Senior Brother Wang for lunch. In the afternoon, we'll accompany Senior Brother Wang to school, and the mission will be completed." Yang Jian and Lu Ruoqi both nodded. Fang Ping asked curiously, "What rank is Senior Wang at?" This question caught Wu Zhihao off guard. After a while, he said helplessly, "I don't know. Relatively speaking, martial arts universities are much more mysterious than other social sciences universities. Many things are not spread around. We don't know what rank Senior Wang is at either. However, Senior Wang is only a freshman. Nanjiang Martial Arts University is not bad in Nanjiang, but it's only average among the martial arts universities in the country. As for his exact rank, I'm guessing it should be around rank 1 or 2. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Ruoqi, who had been quiet all this while, suddenly said, "Rank 1 or 2. Do you really think that all martial arts university students are martial artists?" That was all she said, and then she left. After she left, Fang Ping said thoughtfully, "From what she said, not all martial arts university students are martial artists?" Wu Zhihao smiled bitterly. "I think so. I'm not sure about the specifics. I heard that some martial arts university students didn't become martial artists even after they graduated. However, this kind of thing is a little far away from us. We don't know what the situation is like." Fang Ping nodded slightly. It turned out that entering a martial arts university did not necessarily mean one would become a martial artist. No wonder martial artists were so highly respected. As for whether Wang Jinyang was a martial artist, it was hard to tell. No matter what, this was the first person Fang Ping was going to meet who was truly related to martial artists. He had always heard legends about martial artists, but not many people in number 1 high school had come into contact with real martial artists. For a moment, Fang Ping was looking forward to it. After lunch and photocopying Wu Zhihao's notes, Fang Ping used up the $50 he had on hand once again. Without money, he was too embarrassed to treat Wu Zhihao to a meal. Of course, Wu Zhihao did not care too much about it, but Fang Ping remembered the favor. He had only been reborn for a few days, but he had already owed a lot of favors, from the homeroom teacher and Wu Zhihao. Sometimes, favors were harder to repay than money. He pushed these matters aside and continued reading and revising in the afternoon. At night, when Fang Ping returned, his sister and mother were at home. His father, Fang Mingrong, was not home yet. As usual, Fang Ping was not used to not pinching Fang Yuan's cheeks when he got home. As a result, the siblings started fighting again. Li Yueying, who was preparing dinner, did not know whether to laugh or cry. These two kids never had a moment of peace when they were together. When the siblings were tired of fighting, Fang Mingrong had also arrived home. As soon as he entered, Fang Mingrong asked, "Did you get the money?" Li Yueying nodded. Fang Mingrong turned to Fang Ping and said, "Ask your mom to give you 20,000 later. Remember to thank that classmate of yours and his parents. I won't be visiting them this time, but I'll treat them to a meal after Gaokao." Fang Mingrong went to the factory and asked the workshop director about it. The blood and chi replenishing pill cost 30,000 bucks each, and the pharmacy did not bargain. When Fang Mingrong asked if he could buy it for 20,000, he was almost spat to death by the director's spit. It was not a secret that he could buy it, but who did Fang Mingrong think he was? Even the director could not find a way to buy cheap medicine for his son's Gaokao last year, much less Fang Mingrong. Now, Fang Mingrong had given up on the idea of owing Fang Ping favors. His family was not doing well. Even if Fang Ping managed to become a martial artist, he would still need money in the future. If he failed, he would have to save even more money. 10,000 was not a small sum. He would save as much as he could. If he owed favors, so be it. Fang Ping felt much more at ease after his father agreed. With money, a lot of things would be easier to do. He had been busy for the past few days. Even if he wanted to earn some money, he did not have the time. To ensure that he could pass the martial sciences exam, he had no choice but to get some money from his parents. After dinner, Li Yueying went into the room to get the money for Fang Ping. When the 20,000 bucks was in Fang Ping's hands, his vision blurred, and the numbers appeared again. Wealth, 20,000 vitality, 1. 1 mentality, 1 Fang Ping exhaled. It seemed like his guess was right. Only the money his parents gave him could turn into wealth. Fang Ping could not help but laugh at himself. He seemed to be better than a money detector. He could tell at a glance if there was money missing or fake. He did not even need to count it. If it was not for the fact that his money was only useful for him, he could probably become a national champion even if he could not pass the martial sciences exam and become a martial artist in the future. Casting these messy thoughts aside, Fang Ping bade farewell to his parents and locked himself in a small room. In the room, Fang Ping was slightly hesitant as he stared at the interface. Should he increase his vitality or mentality? He now knew the function of vitality. What was the use of increasing his mentality? Or could it improve his memory and comprehension, as he had guessed? Even though he was not sure, Fang Ping quickly made up his mind to try increasing it. He had 20,000 wealth points anyway. If increasing mentality did not have any effect, he could use the remaining 10,000 wealth points to increase his vitality. His vitality did not need to be too high either. The best in number 1 high school now had a little more than 120 calories. It might not be a good thing if Fang Ping's vitality went above 130 calories. After making up his mind, Fang Ping said softly, "Increase my mentality, or I'll beat you to death." The numbers did not change. Fang Ping felt awkward for a moment. Did this thing work or not? Did it not work the last time? After experimenting a few times, Fang Ping finally figured out that it had nothing to do with his unreliable incantation. As long as he focused and thought about it, the numbers would change. After wasting a lot of time, Fang Ping finally increased his mentality. Soon, the numbers in front of him changed. Wealth, 10,000 vitality, 1. 1 mentality, 1. 1. The moment his mentality increased, Fang Ping felt a sudden coolness in his head. It was as if a girl's soft hand was caressing his head. It was extremely comfortable. Phew! After a long time, Fang Ping woke up and exhaled. He felt refreshed, and the fatigue of the day disappeared. He was not in a hurry to increase his vitality. Instead, he picked up his textbook and started reading. More than 10 minutes later, Fang Ping closed his textbook and recalled what he had just read. His brows furrowed slightly. He did not have a photographic memory like he had imagined, but there were some effects. His memory did seem to be slightly better than before, though the effect was not too obvious. Fang Ping did not know if he was comforting himself, or if that was the truth. However, he guessed that it might have something to do with his mentality not increasing by much. It was similar to the increase in vitality. Although his vitality had reached 110 calories, Fang Ping had not become Superman. Even if he were to fight Yang Jian one-on-one now, he would definitely be beaten senseless. Vitality and mentality were only modifications to the body. He still needed to use them and train them. After understanding these principles, Fang Ping was no longer in a hurry. It was fine as long as they were useful. Next, he would think of a way to increase these two numbers. An increase of 0. 1 was not obvious, but what about an increase of double? Chapter 16. April 9th, Wednesday. When Fang Ping arrived at the entrance of number 1 high school, Wu Zhihao and Lu Ruoqi were already there. Yang Jian was not there yet. A middle-aged man stood beside them, and a 7-seater MPV was parked next to them. Seeing Fang Ping, Wu Zhihao quickly introduced, "Fang Ping, this is Master Zhang from the school. Master Zhang will be in charge of picking them up today." The middle-aged man was the driver arranged by the school. Fang Ping greeted him, and he nodded back politely. After a few simple greetings, Wu Zhihao glanced at Fang Ping and said with some surprise, "Fang Ping, you look like you're in good spirits. I thought you were like me, too excited to sleep well last night." Today, Fang Ping seemed to be full of energy. Even his eyes seemed to be shining. Fang Ping could not help but laugh. "Am I? Maybe I'm in good spirits after a happy event, so I woke up late today." Wu Zhihao did not pay much attention to him and continued to talk about the arrangements for picking them up later. After a while, Yang Jian arrived. This guy was too excited to sleep well last night, so he woke up late. Without wasting any time, they boarded the car and drove to the train station. Sun City train station. After leaving the driver outside the station, Fang Ping and the others entered the station and waited for Wang Jinyang. There was still some time before the train arrived. They stood at the exit and chatted. After a while, Fang Ping took the initiative to ask, "We're all fighting to become martial artists. Until now, I've never seen a real martial artist. I've read some information about the martial sciences exams, including the ones I've looked up online before, but none of them mentioned how to become a real martial artist. Wu Zhihao, do you know anything about this?" Wu Zhihao thought for a moment before saying, "You didn't pay much attention to this before, so you probably don't know much about it. For high school students, our main task is to pass the martial sciences exams. Becoming a martial artist is a matter for university. As for how to become a real martial artist, there's definitely no information on the internet. From what I know, to become a martial artist, one has to have a martial artist elder in their family, or one has to go to a martial arts training class." Wu Zhihao added, "Not the martial arts training class in Sun City, but a real, licensed martial arts training class. There are no such classes in Sun City. According to the law, those who offer martial arts classes have to be at least middle-ranked martial artists. There aren't many martial arts classes like this in the entire Nanjiang province, let alone Yang City. The third and most important way is to get into a martial arts university." Wu Zhihao continued, "Apart from these three methods, I don't know if there are any other methods. None of these three paths have anything to do with us. At the very least, we have no hope of becoming martial artists before the Gaokao before we get into a martial arts university." Fang Ping nodded slightly and said, "How many martial artists do you think will emerge from this year's Gaokao candidates?" Before Wu Zhihao could speak, Yang Jian chuckled and continued, "There's no hope for Sun City. It's not just Sun City. I'm afraid even auspicious Sun City, which we belong to, has no hope for martial artists to take the exam. In the entire Nanjiang province, there were only 3 people who became official martial artists before the college entrance examination last year. It would probably be the same this year. These people are the true proud sons of heaven." Yang Jian was a little envious. Becoming an official martial artist without going to university was something they did not even dare to think about. Fang Ping wanted to ask a few more questions, but someone beside him suddenly chimed in with a laugh. "Don't underestimate yourself. It's true that high school students who become martial artists are geniuses, but everyone's starting point is different." As soon as the words left his mouth, everyone looked up. The person who spoke was a young man about their age. He was dressed casually and had both hands in his trouser pockets. There was nothing too special about him. He had a crew cut and looked ordinary, but his eyes were bright. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, the young man smiled and said, "You're students from number 1 high school, right?" As soon as he said that, Wu Zhihao asked hurriedly, "Your brother Wang?" Wang Jinyang smiled and shook his head. "Don't use honorifics. You can call me by my name or Brother Wang. We're all of the same age. I'm just a step ahead." His words admitted that he was Wang Jinyang, the person everyone had been waiting for. Wang Jinyang was only 1 year older than the rest of them. Wu Zhihao actually knew those from the top class last year. However, he did not know Wang Jinyang at all. He had only seen his picture on the school's honor roll. Wu Zhihao breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that. He quickly said, "Hello, Brother Wang. We're Year 3 students from number 1 high school." Wu Zhihao introduced them quickly. Wang Jinyang did not show any impatience. After getting to know everyone, he continued the previous topic. "I'm sure everyone knows what I mean when I say the starting line is different. These students who become martial artists in high school all come from well-to-do families without exception. Their parents are martial artists, or their families have powerhouses supporting them. I'm talking about powerhouses, at least ranked 4 and above. Those of us from the grassroots who can pass the martial sciences exams are no worse than them. Admit that they have talent and strength, but don't deny yourself or think that you're worse than anyone else. If you can't even do this, it'll be hard for you to walk down the road in the future." This was probably a statement from experience. Everyone quickly thanked him. Fang Ping had been paying attention to Wang Jinyang. He found that he was talkative and had a good personality. He let out a sigh of relief. The group chatted as they walked out of the train station. Wang Jinyang asked a few questions. When he found out that they were all students with vitality above 110 calories, he could not help but exclaim, "Each batch is stronger than the last." Last year, in our batch, 110 calories vitality wasn't common. Since he took the initiative to bring up the topic, Wu Zhihao went with the flow and asked immediately, "Brother Wang, what do you think the standard for Nanjiang Martial Arts University's recruitment this year is around?" Wang Jinyang smiled. This was probably the question that all the senior 3 martial sciences students were concerned about. It was not surprising. He had been the same last year. After some thought, Wang Jinyang said, "The standard changes based on the situation in the past. Last year, everyone's vitality wasn't as high as this year's. It's fine in Sun City, but in Provincial City, Nanjiang Martial Arts University-affiliated high school did a test. I heard that there were many students with vitality above 120 calories. If nothing goes wrong, the minimum standard for this year's physical assessment will be 110 calories for admission. It's best to keep it above 115 calories. Wu Zhihao's face lit up when he said that, while Yang Jian and Lu Ruoqi's expressions dimmed. Wang Jinyang did not continue to discourage them. He chuckled and said, "Of course, it's not always the case. All of you are above 110 calories now. You still have a chance to improve before the physical assessment. Why is the martial sciences exam so close to the cultural studies Gaokao every year? Because everyone is growing and improving every day. To give everyone a fair chance to compete, the martial sciences exam is delayed until the day before the Gaokao. If you're at 110 calories today, you might be at 111 calories tomorrow. It's highly possible." Everyone nodded again, accepting his consolation. After exiting the train station, Wang Jinyang was not in a hurry to board the train. He looked at the surroundings outside the station and said emotionally, "In high school, the only thought I had was to pass the martial sciences exam. I must. I gave up too many things to pass the exam. But after I passed and learned about things I didn't know before, I realized how rare it is to live a carefree life like this." Wang Jinyang was only a freshman, 1 year ahead of everyone else. The university students from his past life would not have felt this way. However, the martial sciences students in this life were deeply touched. In high school, they fought hard to pass the martial sciences exam. After passing the martial sciences exam, they started to fight to become martial artists. After becoming martial artists, they had to continue to fight to become stronger. It was easier for those from wealthy families. Wang Jinyang, who came from an average family, had to suffer more than anyone could imagine. After lamenting, Wang Jinyang smiled and said, "I'm not taking the train anymore. My body is getting stiff. If you guys aren't busy, why don't you accompany me for a walk?" Everyone was overjoyed when they heard that. They were fighting to entertain Wang Jinyang because they wanted to interact more with him and learn more about him. Wang Jinyang had been a high school student last year too. He knew what these people were thinking, so he said that as an extra favor. Wu Zhihao trotted to the business car, told the driver, "Master Zhang," and then ran back quickly. After walking along the street outside the train station, Wang Jinyang smiled and said, "Let's find a place to sit. We'll be going to number 1 high school in the afternoon anyway, so there's no hurry." No one would refuse such an offer. Wu Zhihao led the way to a drink shop in front. Fang Ping saw that Wang Jinyang was easy to talk to, so he took the opportunity to ask, "Brother Wang, if you don't mind, can I ask what your martial arts rank is now?" There was no martial science student who would not be interested in this. Even Wu Zhihao, who was leading the way, could not help but turn to look at Wang Jinyang. They were all too interested in this legendary senior. Wang Jinyang was stunned for a moment. Then, he smiled and said, "There are some things you're better off not knowing. Knowing might not be a good thing. I won't say it myself. If you get into Nanjiang Martial Arts University, you'll know. But I can gossip about other people." Wang Jinyang's expression was slightly mischievous. "You know Li Yuanjiang, right?" Wu Zhihao said immediately, "I do. The senior from the top class last year got into Nanjiang Martial Arts University too." Wang Jinyang grinned. "It's good that you know. I don't have any qualms about gossiping about this kid. This guy can't blame me for embarrassing him in front of his juniors. He was the most arrogant among those in the top class. We're all students, but he had to mock me for no reason. Don't you think he has nothing better to do? We got into Nanjing Martial Arts University together, but that guy said it was embarrassing to go to Nanjing Martial Arts University with me. Motherf asterisk Kerr. This kind of person needs to be taught a lesson. Wu Zhihao and the others were dumbfounded by Wang Jinyang's words. Senior Wang, who seemed gentle just now, did not seem to be as gentle as they had imagined. Wang Jinyang did not care what the others thought. He smiled mischievously again. Li Yuanjiang and I got into Martial Arts University at the same time. His freshman year is almost over, but that guy hasn't become a martial artist yet. Looking at the situation, it's hard to say if he can become a martial artist in his sophomore year. He might have a chance in his junior year. Fang Ping understood the hidden meaning of his words. Wang Jinyang was already a real martial artist. As for his rank, Fang Ping was even a little suspicious. It might not be as simple as rank 1. Otherwise, he would not have mentioned himself. Compared to Li Yuanjiang, who had also gotten into Nanjing Martial Arts University, Wang Jinyang should not be too bad even in Nanjing Martial Arts University. For a moment, even Fang Ping was interested in this legendary senior. Of course, it was not that kind of interest. Chapter 17. While Wang Jinyang was speaking, they arrived at the beverage shop. Wu Zhihao went to the counter to order something. No one fought over it since the school would reimburse them. The others found a place with fewer people and sat down, continuing to listen to Wang Jinyang. Martial artists are still a little far away from you. There's no point in talking about it now. The martial sciences exam is still the most important thing. The martial sciences exam is said to be a challenge, but it's not that scary. Among the 5 exams, there's no need to mention the political background exam, but the general studies and cultural studies all depend on how diligent you are. The key lies in the physical assessment and practical tests. Wu Zhihao, who had just returned to his seat, said immediately, Brother Wang is right. These 2 exams have the highest elimination rate every year. Wang Jinyang smiled. All of you have more than 110 calories vitality. It's not hard to pass the physical assessment, but how do you pass the admission line? To all of you, the difference in vitality isn't that big. Preparing a good medicine before the exam, like a vitality pill, can change many people's lives. Of course, if the vitality pill isn't enough, I'll teach you a little trick. It was a little trick to Wang Jinyang, but to Wu Zhihao and the others, even a little trick was extremely important to a true martial artist. They were excited, but they did not dare to speak. They all listened attentively. The outburst of vitality isn't just about vitality. There's also the state. The physical state, the state of your vitality, and the state of your emotions. Before the physical assessment, just do some warm-up exercises. Don't overexert your body, and keep your vitality at its peak. Don't think about extra training on the last day. In terms of emotions, it's very difficult to learn how to maximize your emotions. Happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy, when these emotions are at their peak, will cause your vitality to boil, and your vitality test results will usually be higher than usual. However, you haven't experienced many things, so it's very difficult to maximize your emotions. Maximize my emotions? Seeing that they were deep in thought, Wang Jinyang suddenly smiled. Actually, I have a way to help you maximize your emotions. Everyone was delighted, but Fang Ping looked at him suspiciously. He did not really care about it. He could increase his vitality quickly anyway. When Wang Jinyang said that, his expression was not much different from when he teased Li Yuanjiang. Fang Ping felt that it was not a good thing. As expected, Wang Jinyang grinned. Some emotions are hard to manipulate, but anger is easy. Now, I'll step on your faces and spit a few times. You can imagine the humiliation you'll suffer during the physical assessment. Cough, cough, cough. Wu Zhihao and the others almost choked to death. Why does this legendary senior feel so unreliable? To them, it was only natural. However, Fang Ping took it to heart. He had some doubts before. Even if a martial artist could fight 100 people alone, there were so many normal people. Was there a need to be so obsessed with martial artists? In the era of firearms, one normal person might not be enough, but if there were 100 or 1,000 of them armed with guns, Could grandmasters avoid them? Listening to Wang Jinyang now, it seemed like there was more to it. It was a pity that Wang Jinyang did not want to say more, and Fang Ping did not press him. It seemed that he could only find out after he became a martial artist. As they chatted, Wang Jinyang's phone rang in his pocket. After answering the call, Wang Jinyang did not avoid the others and gave a few simple replies. Finally, he said, "I'll go to number 1 high school in the afternoon. I'll go there at night." After saying that, Wang Jinyang hung up and did not explain anything to them. They did not pay much attention to it. After chatting for a while, they left the beverage shop. Originally, the school had arranged for them to treat Wang Jinyang for lunch, but Wang Jinyang was also from Sun City. His home was in Sun City, so he decided to go home after leaving the beverage shop. Fang Ping and the others did not want to follow him anymore, so they arranged to pick him up in the afternoon. With that, their task of receiving guests was completed. As soon as Wang Jinyang left, Wu Zhihao beamed with joy. "We've learned a lot." Other things aside, just the fact that they could arouse their emotions was something that they did not know. During the practical assessment, Wang Jinyang also taught them some small tricks. Wu Zhihao already had hopes of passing the martial sciences exam, and now he was even more confident. Even Yang Jian and Lu Ruoqi felt that they had learned a lot and could try for Nanjiang Martial Arts University. Other than that, Wang Jinyang also revealed another piece of news. Nanjiang's Governor-General Zhang was indeed trying to break through to rank 7 Grandmaster. The reason why he said this was mainly to suggest that everyone apply for Nanjiang Martial Arts University this year. Governor-General Zhang graduated from Nanjiang Martial Arts University, which was also the only full-time martial arts school in Nanjiang Province. There were 2 other schools in Nanjiang that accepted both civil and martial arts, and they were even more famous than Nanjiang Martial Arts University. However, Governor-General Zhang graduated from Nanjiang Martial Arts University. Once he broke through to Grandmaster this year, he would definitely fight for more martial arts resources for Nanjiang. When that time came, the province would definitely favor him when he entered Nanjiang Martial Arts University. Wang Jinyang was very sure of this. Therefore, at this time, the few of them set their sights on Nanjiang Martial Arts University. After Wang Jinyang left, the few of them arranged to pick him up together in the afternoon. After that, they went their separate ways and returned home. On the other side, Wang Jinyang was about to go home when his phone rang again. He took out his phone and glanced at it. Wang Jinyang frowned slightly and answered the call. "Didn't you say you're going over tonight? Is there anything else?" A respectful middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the line. "Mr. Wang, I'm sorry to disturb you, but we just received a tip that the suspect has entered White Mountains. White Mountains run through 2 provinces. If he escapes..." Wang Jinyang frowned slightly and said unhappily, "Didn't we agree before that he would stay where he is and wait for me to arrive before taking action? Now that he's escaped, could it be that you guys alerted him?" The other side was silent for a while. Wang Jinyang had clearly hit the nail on the head. Wang Jinyang was a little unhappy. He exhaled softly and said after a while, "Originally it was 300,000. Now it's 500,000, dead or alive. I'll have someone send the information to my house later. You don't have to worry about anything else." "Mr. Wang, is 500,000. Then let your director do it himself. Isn't he a graduate of Nanjiang Martial Arts University? He graduated 20 years ago and is a rank 2 martial artist. Can he still fight? 500,000. Otherwise, you can find someone else." Wang Jinyang's tone was extremely blunt. He huffed and said, "Why don't you go to auspicious Sun City or the province? If it weren't for the fact that I need a lot of resources for my breakthrough and my home is in Sun City, I wouldn't have accepted this mission." The other side hesitated for a while before saying, "We agree to the terms, but the person must be arrested and brought to justice. Also, Sun City will complete the mission independently." Wang Jinyang said mildly, "Of course, I'm doing this for the money. I came back to Sun City this time to guide the juniors of number 1 high school in the martial sciences exam. All right, we'll send the information to you soon. I hope you can solve it as soon as possible. Don't worry." After a few more words, Wang Jinyang hung up. He rubbed his temples and sighed softly. I hope he didn't go far. Otherwise, why would there be so many suckers? When he thought about the resources needed for his breakthrough, Wang Jinyang felt his head swell. The school would provide half, and he would have to raise the other half himself. If it were any other student from a wealthy family, he would not have to worry about this. However, for him, he could only rely on himself. When he thought about the few students from number 1 high school, Wang Jinyang shook his head. Everyone wanted to be a martial artist, but who knew the hardships of being a martial artist? To him, those students, even Wu Zhihao, came from ordinary families. When they got into a martial arts university, these fellows would probably know what despair was. Li Yuanjiang's inability to become a martial artist was not due to his lack of talent. He snorted. He did not know who he was laughing at, or if he was laughing at himself. Wang Jinyang put both hands in his trouser pockets and walked slowly toward his neighborhood. Chapter 18. After saying goodbye to Wu Zhihao and the others, he did not have to attend classes in the morning. Seeing that it was still early, Fang Ping was not in the mood to go to school. He strolled toward Lakeview Gardens. As he walked, Fang Ping thought about Wang Jinyang's words. Although Fang Ping was listening to the little tricks that Wu Zhihao and the others were concerned about, he did not pay much attention to them. His focus was on other things. Wang Jinyang was only a freshman, but he was obviously more mature than a Year 3 student. From some of his casual words, he could tell that being a martial artist might not be as perfect as he had imagined. In modern society, martial artists seemed to mix with normal people, but that was not necessarily the case. They had their own world, and there were many things that normal people would not understand. Although information spread quickly on the internet, one should not forget that in this country, no matter how lax the internet was, it was only because the government made it so. Information that they did not want normal people to know would never appear on the internet. Martial artists. Fang Ping mumbled, "How big of a difference is there between a martial artist and a normal person? Is it just a difference in strength?" A few days ago, Fang Ping had not been in the mood to think about these things. However, after meeting a true martial artist like Wang Jinyang, Fang Ping could not help but think more. My level is still too low. Fang Ping shook his head. Due to the difference in social status, he knew very little information. Just as Wang Jinyang had said, it was better not to know some things. When he became a martial artist, he would slowly understand these things that he did not understand. There was no need to rush. After walking for a while, Fang Ping thought about it and decided to convert his remaining 10,000 wealth points. This year's exam was obviously much harder than last year's. Wu Zhihao had 115 calories vitality, prepared vitality pills, and learned the technique of emotional outburst. Even so, he was not very confident. It was obvious that the competition this year would be intense. His vitality was only 110 calories now. If he did not increase it, he would be in trouble if this unreliable system malfunctioned. After making up his mind, Fang Ping focused on increasing his vitality. Soon, the data in his vision changed. Wealth, 0 vitality, 1. 2 mentality, 1. 1. Just as Fang Ping was ready to welcome the comfort of his first vitality increase, he suddenly let out a low cry of pain. His exposed arms, neck, and the back of his hands. The veins in these places were clearly protruding, making them look exceptionally frightening. Fang Ping gritted his teeth and leaned against the wall of the shop beside the street. He clenched his fists tightly and endured the pain so that he did not scream. After some time, Fang Ping's face was covered in sweat. He exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. Very quickly, he cursed under his breath. F***ck. Are you trying to trick me? The first time was so cool, but this time, he almost rolled on the ground in pain. The moment his vitality increased, he thought his blood vessels were going to burst. Fortunately, he left as quickly as he had come. If he had waited any longer, he was not sure if he would have rolled all over the street. Fang Ping felt a lingering fear in his heart. He touched his arm and frowned. Can't my physique keep up? It was his first time increasing his vitality, so he didn't pay much attention to it. This time, however, he could clearly feel that his blood vessels were too fragile. They almost burst when he was trying to increase his vitality. This was only the second time he had leveled up. Fang Ping suspected that if he did it again, he might really turn into a human-shaped fountain, spurting out red blood. Only a strong physique can support an increase in vitality. Looks like I'll have to put physical training on the agenda. His already busy schedule had now become even more burdensome. Still, it was necessary to improve his physique. Even if it was not to increase his vitality, he still needed a good physique for the actual test. At this moment, Fang Ping was not much different from what Wang Jinyang had described as those useless people who grew up in medicine jars. When he thought of this, Fang Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. Others worried that their vitality would not be able to increase, but he worried that his body would not be able to withstand the increase. Fang Ping glanced at the data in front of him again. Was his vitality 120 calories now? He did not think of going to Wu Jihao's house to test again. It had only been a day. If he went to test today, and his vitality reached 125 calories, Wu Jihao would jump off a building. Of course, it was more likely that he would drag Fang Ping down with him. At 2 p.m. sharp, everyone gathered at the school gate again. They got into a car and went to Wang Jinyang's house to pick him up. Wang Jinyang's neighborhood was average. At most, it was slightly better than Fang Ping's Lakeview Gardens neighborhood. When the car arrived, Wang Jinyang was already waiting at the entrance of the neighborhood. Wang Jinyang, who had returned empty-handed in the morning, was now carrying a bulging backpack. No one knew what was in it. No one asked. It was not unusual to bring some local specialties back home. Wang Jinyang was about to get into the car with his backpack when he suddenly turned to look at Fang Ping beside him. His eyes showed a hint of suspicion, and he frowned slightly. Fang Ping, what did you do in the afternoon? Huh. Fang Ping was stunned. Then, he suddenly felt nervous. Could it be that martial artists could notice the increase in their vitality? As he expected, Wang Jinyang frowned and said, I understand what you're thinking. It's okay to do anything for the martial sciences exam. However, the body is the foundation. Some dangerous drugs must not be taken indiscriminately. If you're not careful, it could lead to a disaster. I don't know what drugs you took, but your vitality has increased a little too much. It's easy to cause problems. During this period of time, train more and let your vitality calm down. Within a week, don't take any other blood-enriching drugs. Fang Ping breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that. He quickly said, Got it. Thank you, Brother Wang. I didn't have any experience before, and this is my first time taking drugs. I felt my blood vessels were a little swollen before. So it's your first time. No wonder, Wang Jinyang murmured. As a martial artist, his senses were very sharp. In the morning, Fang Ping's vitality was obviously lower than Wu Jihao's. Now, however, Fang Ping's vitality was even higher than Wu Jihao's. He did not know what Fang Ping had taken, but the effects of the drug were shocking. It was very likely that it was some forbidden drug that overtaxed the body. However, he remembered that it was Fang Ping's first time taking drugs, so he did not know about them. Moreover, this was his first time taking drugs at this time, so his family must not be very well off. Thinking of this, Wang Jinyang did not ask him what he had taken. He only reminded him again, when you buy drugs in the future, before you understand the effects, you must go to a legal pharmacy. In society, some people prescribe drugs indiscriminately. When the effects of the drugs conflict, it's very harmful to the body. You won't be so lucky every time. Every year, there are many people who end up dying or getting crippled. However, this is your first time. You've had a good foundation before, so you've managed to hold on. You can't take luck for granted. Be careful next time. Okay, I'll be careful. Thank you, Brother Wang. You're welcome. Wang Jinyang's attitude improved slightly. He smiled and said, But you didn't lose out this time. When your vitality has calmed down, train your body, and there's hope for you to pass the martial sciences this year. The others had been listening to their conversation. At first, everyone could tell that Fang Ping had taken some blood-enriching medicine in the afternoon, which seemed to have harmed his body. They did not expect Wang Jinyang to say that Fang Ping had hope for passing the martial sciences. Even Wu Jihao didn't receive such a comment from Wang Jinyang in the morning. Wu Jihao could not help but be shocked when he heard this. Brother Wang, Fang Ping's vitality has improved a lot? Wang Jinyang chuckled. I don't have a vitality meter, so I can only tell a little. Even so, I can tell that this kid has improved a lot. Fang Ping smiled sheepishly. It's just so. I think it's about the same as before. Ha ha ha. Wang Jinyang laughed. He did not expose him, but he said to Wu Jihao, don't learn from him. He doesn't know about these things, so it's a little risky this time. Medicine shouldn't be used indiscriminately, especially when it's not a regular medicine like the blood and chi replenishing pill. He's just lucky. If he was unlucky and his blood vessels burst, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ignorance is scary. Wang Jinyang shook his head. A student who knew about these things would not have done it. Wu Zhihao and the other two shrank back in fear when they heard about the consequences of their blood vessels bursting. Wu Zhihao asked in a low voice, "Fang Ping, what medicine did you buy?" Fang Ping said sheepishly, "I did a test at your place yesterday. My dad gave me a lot of money to buy some supplements so that I can pass the martial sciences exam. After we parted ways this morning, I was on my way home. Someone on the street asked me if I needed supplements. They were cheap, so I bought one. You?" Wu Zhihao's jaw dropped. He said in disbelief, "Are you crazy? You believe a scammer on the street?" "It's cheap." He said, "It's a blood and chi replenishing pill. It's only a few thousand. Didn't you say it was 30,000 for one yesterday? Are you stupid, or is he stupid? He sold something worth 30,000 to you for a few thousand?" Wu Zhihao was completely speechless. Yang Jian scratched his head and said in a daze, "Even I wouldn't dare to do that. Fang Ping, you're crazy." They had wanted to ask Fang Ping what medicine he had taken, but now they had lost all interest. If he had taken some unknown medicine, he would not even know how he died. Besides, the other party had lied to Fang Ping once. Who knew where he was now? High school students did not have the guts to gamble with their lives to increase their vitality unless they had no other choice. Ignorance is scary. That was probably the only thought in everyone's mind. If it were them, who would buy medicine on the street and eat it? Fang Ping saw this and breathed a sigh of relief. He had managed to fool the other party. He did not expect Wang Jinyang to be able to sense all this. Now it seemed that martial artists were scarier than he had imagined, or that Wang Jinyang was much stronger than he had imagined. Still, it was not a bad thing to be exposed. Wu Zhihao and the others would not be too surprised during the physical assessment. There was another benefit. Perhaps Wang Jinyang thought that Fang Ping had a high chance of passing the martial sciences exam, so he gave Fang Ping a few more pointers on the way to school. Most of them were about physical training. He even said with a smile, "I'm afraid there will be some surprises in number 1 high school this year. I hope you don't screw up on the other exams. Maybe we'll be schoolmates again in a few months." Chapter 19. As they chatted, the car soon arrived at the entrance of number 1 Lieutenant Colonel. From afar, he could see many people standing outside the school gate. The one leading the group was the dean of number 1 middle school. The principal was not at school, and the dean personally led a group of people to welcome him at the school gate. This kind of treatment was no different from the leaders of the city. Wang Jinyang was only a year 1 student now. What the school really valued was his identity as a martial artist. Last year, the dean of students would not even look at Wang Jinyang in the eye. The difference of a single step was like the difference between heaven and earth. Wang Jinyang got out of the car and conversed with the university leaders while Fang Ping and the others walked over to Luongwa's side. Luongwa was also among the welcoming crowd. Other than these teachers, there were also some students. Fang Ping was not familiar with these students, but Wu Zhihao was. He explained in a low voice, "Most of them are students from the elite classes. There are also a few top students from the normal classes." Naturally, he was not talking about social sciences, but martial sciences. Those who could come here were also the martial science seeds of number 1 high school this year. If Fang Ping and the others were not in charge of receiving Wang Jinyang, no one other than Wu Zhihao would have been qualified to come. Of course, that was in the past. Now, Fang Ping clearly had the right to do so. Luongwa was not the leader of the school, so he did not interrupt when Wang Jinyang and the others were talking. Seeing that Fang Ping and the others had arrived, Luongwa asked in a low voice, "How was it? Did you find anything?" Wu Zhihao nodded, indicating that he had gained a lot. Then, with a hint of envy and jealousy, he said, "The one who gained the most is Fang Ping." "Instructor, Fang Ping's vitality increased again. I'm afraid it's even higher than mine now. How could this be?" Luongwa was stunned for a moment. He couldn't believe it. Increasing one's vitality was not something that could be done overnight. Not to mention that Fang Ping's family background was average. It would not be easy for him to surpass Wu Zhihao. Wu Zhihao naturally understood the teacher's surprise and quickly explained in a low voice. Lu Onghua was speechless when he heard that Fang Ping was taking the pills recklessly. Were youngsters nowadays so unafraid of death? It was all in the past, though. Fang Ping had profited from his misfortune. Lu Onghua was still delighted. If that's the case, a miracle might happen in Class 4 this year. There was hope for Wu Zhihao to pass the martial sciences exam. If Fang Ping joined the exam, 2 martial arts university students from a normal class, Lu Onghua was pleasantly surprised just thinking about it. Last year, Wang Jinyang and another student from the normal class were admitted to a martial arts university. Naturally, they were successful and famous. However, what Lu Onghua and the others envied were not these students, but the homeroom teachers of the 2 ordinary classes. Because there were martial science students in their class, and it was a normal class at that, these 2 homeroom teachers received more than 100,000 in bonuses last year alone. This was equivalent to 2 years of their salaries. In addition to money, there were other things, including opportunities for promotion, opportunities for excellence. If it was like this for 1 student, what about 2? Lu Onghua felt a little dizzy. Could it be that in the history of number 1 middle school, he was going to be the first teacher to cultivate 2 martial artists in an ordinary class? Also, Yang Jian and Lu Ruoqi in the class might not necessarily be hopeless. Thinking about it, Lu Onghua was a little drunk. He was in his early 50s, but he couldn't help but grin like a fool. There were also other head teachers of other classes, including the 2 head teachers of the elite class. Someone saw Lu Onghua smile and couldn't help but sneer. "Old Lu, mind your image. The students are still here." Lu Onghua's face was full of pride. He subconsciously hid Wu Zhihao and the others behind him and said with a smile, "It's against the law for me to be happy? Old Li, I heard that you're quite proud of yourself recently, saying to everyone you meet that you'll be the best teacher this year." The person Lu Onghua called Old Li was also an old teacher in his 50s, but he was much better off than Lu Onghua. He was the head teacher of the elite class. Hearing Lu Onghua's words, Old Li laughed and said, "What? If it's not me, do you think it's old Zhang? Our class's Zhou Bin will definitely get into a martial arts university this year. If he's lucky, there's hope for Capital City Martial Arts University and Magic City Martial Arts University." These 2 martial arts universities were also the most famous martial arts universities in the country. MCMAU, Beijing City. Compared to Nanjiang Martial Arts University, these 2 famous schools were much harder to get into. Although Lu Onghua scoffed at Old Li's bragging, he did not say anything. Zhou Bin had a 99% chance of getting into a martial arts university, but the chances of getting into the 2 famous schools were not high. However, Zhou Bin was in the crowd now. As a teacher, he could not be too harsh on him. Lu Onghua smiled and did not refute. He only turned his head to look at Fang Ping and Wu Zhihao. This year, Class 4 had 2 martial science students, so he would definitely be the best teacher. Even if there were more students in the elite class was the school's main focus on cultivating martial science students. It was not surprising that they got in, but it would be a sin if they did not. As long as Zhou Bin did not get into the 2 famous schools, it did not matter if more students from Old Li's class got into martial arts universities than Class 4. Beside him, Old Li was a little scared by Lu Onghua's laughter. What was this old man thinking? Not only the teachers, but Fang Ping and Wu Zhihao were also a little scared. The way old Lu looked at them was not like how he looked at his students, but like he was looking at his own son. Fang Ping could roughly understand Lu Onghua's thoughts, and he did not know whether to laugh or cry. Just as they were chatting in low voices, Wang Jinyang, who was in front of them, had finished his small talk with the school leaders. Soon, Wang Jinyang walked to the waiting students. After looking around, Wang Jinyang nodded with a smile. Each batch is stronger than the last. This year's juniors are much stronger than last year's batch. Number 1 high school's teaching results are getting better because of the teacher's hard work. Even though he was only a freshman, Wang Jinyang's polite words were dignified. Beside him, the dean of students was smiling so brightly that his face turned red. This was a compliment from an official martial artist. Number 1 high school leaders had been paying attention to the graduates who got into martial arts universities. They did not know the specifics because some news was kept to themselves. However, everyone in number 1 high school knew that out of the 5 who got into martial arts universities last year, only 2 had become true martial artists. Between the two, Wang Jinyang was more famous. Some of the martial arts university students who still had connections with the school had complicated expressions inside at the mention of Wang Jinyang. From some of the students, number 1 high school leaders knew that Wang Jinyang had outstanding results at Nanjiang Martial Arts University. That was why they invited him back this year. Fortunately, Wang Jinyang was about to return to Sun City. After receiving the invitation, he agreed without much hesitation. Otherwise, he might not have come to number 1 high school. Wang Jinyang exchanged some pleasantries and could not help but glance at Fang Ping. From what he could sense, Fang Ping's vitality was the strongest among the students in number 1 high school. In fact, Fang Ping's vitality was second only to Zhou Bin, who was highly regarded by all the school leaders. When he thought about how the kid's vitality had been ordinary in the morning and how he had achieved such a breakthrough in the afternoon, Wang Jinyang could not help but lament the fickleness of fate. Seeing that almost no one in number 1 high school was paying attention to Fang Ping, Wang Jinyang chuckled inwardly. He had made an accident last year. This year, he was going to surprise the teachers again. He wondered if the school leaders would question themselves when the time came. Wang Jinyang could not be bothered with these things, and he would not remind anyone of unnecessary things. After complimenting the top students for a while, he followed the dean of students to the function hall. Fang Ping and the others followed the students toward the school's function hall. When they arrived at the function hall, many students were already seated inside. At a glance, there were probably no less than 200 people. These were all the students from number 1 high school who had applied for martial sciences this year. Including Fang Ping and the others, there were less than 300 people. Fang Ping and the others had just entered when they saw Zhang Hao waving at them. They hurriedly walked toward Zhang Hao. The other martial sciences students from class 4 were also there. As soon as they sat down, Zhang Hao asked impatiently, "What did you guys find when you went to fetch Senior Wang? Is Senior Wang strong?" Before Fang Ping could reply, Wu Zhihao said with a smile, "How would we know if he's strong or not? Senior Wang didn't fight anyone. Senior Wang will tell us everything else later." He did not mention the outburst. Yang Jian and Lu Ruoqi did not mention it either. They did not know if Wang Jinyang would tell them later. If he did, it would be the same. If he did not, it would be even better. This was their advantage. It was fine to tell Zhang Hao, but the guy had a big mouth. He might spread the news everywhere, and the advantage that they had worked so hard to build would be gone. Everyone had their own selfish motives. Fang Ping saw that they did not mention it, so he did not say anything. As they conversed, Wang Jinyang entered the function hall with the dean of students and the others. As soon as they entered, there was a loud round of applause. Some of the girls even screamed excitedly. Almost all the students, including Wu Zhihao, had looks of envy and admiration in their eyes when they saw this. Many of the students had a strong feeling that this was how a real man should be. This was the martial artist that the students admired and envied. This was how it felt to have a meteoric rise. Fang Ping, on the other hand, was not too excited. While the others were looking at Wang Jinyang, he was looking at the martial sciences exam timetable issued by the school. After the 10th of April, the background check would begin and end at the end of April. Those who passed would be issued a martial sciences exam admission ticket. On the 1st of May, the martial sciences exam candidates would go to auspicious Sun City, a city in the upper reaches of Sun City, for the physical assessment. On the 3rd of May, the results of the physical assessment would be released. All the martial arts schools and the Department of Education would receive the data and confirm the passing standards by the 5th. On the 7th of May, the assessment would begin. On the 10th of May, the students would participate in the General Studies exam organized by the country. This was the schedule for the martial sciences exam candidates. After the General Studies exam, they would have to wait for the Cultural Studies Gaokao. The schedule was tight. It was put together so that the martial sciences exam candidates could grow to their fullest potential, so that the younger students would not be held up. At around the age of 18, some students might be growing every day at this age. Looking at the timetable, Fang Ping could not help but feel a sense of urgency. There were only 20 days left until the physical assessment. Could he really settle everything in 20 days? Chapter 20. Number 1 High School's Multipurpose Hall. Fang Ping was thinking about earning money to improve his mentality, while Wang Jinyang was explaining the martial sciences exam to the students seriously. At the same time, Lakeview Gardens, Block 6, Unit 201. A middle-aged man in his 40s said honestly, "Don't worry, big sis. I promise I won't damage any of your furniture. If you do, just deduct my deposit." A slightly older woman stood in front of the man. She smiled when she heard that. "That's good. My house has only been renovated for a few years. Lakeview Gardens may be old, but the environment is great. There are restaurants and supermarkets nearby, and the bus is right at the entrance. $600 a month. You've earned it. I'm the only one who doesn't need money. Otherwise, where else could I rent a house for $600? Of course. Thank you for taking care of me, Big Sis Chin." The middle-aged man smiled sheepishly. Big Sis Chun thought for a moment before reminding him, "You said you're living alone. You're a man, so you have to clean up. I wouldn't have rented it to you if you didn't clean up so well. Oh, we're very familiar with this area. Don't bring any random people back. Also, use the bathtub when you shower. The old area is a little leaky. There's a kid downstairs who's going to take his gaokao. Don't make too much noise at home. The soundproofing here is a little bad. Also, if we come back, you'll have to move out." The woman reminded him for a while, but the man did not lose his patience. He kept smiling and nodding. The woman felt more at ease when she saw that he was being honest. Finally, she passed the keys to him and said, "The house isn't too dirty. I come back sometimes to clean up. Basically, everything is here. Just add some daily necessities." "All right. Thank you, Big Sis. Don't mention it. I'll be leaving now." Big Sis Chen did not linger. After she left, the middle-aged man closed the door quickly and sighed in relief. He mumbled, "There shouldn't be any surveillance cameras in this old area, right?" He walked to the balcony and looked outside. He frowned and said softly, "I don't know if the people in Sun City can find the clues I left behind." He had purposely lured the people of Sun City to the Tsang Mountains, making them think that he had escaped from there. Since he was not in their territory, they would not pay too much attention to him. The man rubbed his temples as he thought about this. He did not really care about the small fries in Sun City. Even if they were discovered, it wouldn't be a big deal. The scary thing was that the commotion would attract the attention of the higher-ups. With his strength, he might be able to show off in a small place like Sun City, but if he went to a big city, he wouldn't even know how he died. Thinking of this, the man felt a little helpless. He had to think of a way to go abroad. It was better to go to some chaotic small country than to live in fear in China. Although China was huge, it could be very, very small at times. Now that surveillance was everywhere, unless he hid in a corner at the foot of the mountain, it would be difficult for someone like him not to be discovered. However, if they really wanted to live at the foot of the mountain, eating, drinking, and defecating would be a problem. Martial artists were not immortals. They could avoid eating and drinking if they could. Besides, in rural areas, people were all from the same village. There would be more traces if there were more outsiders. He exhaled and stopped thinking about it. There was no one in Sun City who could threaten him. He would hide here for a while before anything else. Once his cultivation had a breakthrough, and he found a smuggling channel, he would think of a way to leave Sino Nation. There was no property management in an old neighborhood like this, so no one would pay attention to him. There were restaurants and kiosks around. Living was convenient, and he would not leave too many traces. After thinking about it carefully, the man breathed a sigh of relief when he felt that there were no loopholes. He was slightly regretful, though. He should not have done something like this in the first place. If he had not been muddle-headed, he would have been able to gather the resources he needed in a few years. However, martial artists seized every minute. He was already over 40. If he waited for a few more years, he would not have the chance to continue on the path of martial arts. He was old, and his vitality was declining. He could not help but feel anxious. He still could not accept it. Number 1 High School. After almost 2 hours, the pre-exam guidance for the martial sciences examination ended with a round of applause. Fang Ping had wanted to greet Wang Jinyang, but when he saw that he was surrounded by countless students, he gave up on the idea. After the pre-exam guidance, they didn't need to return to the classroom. They could go home directly. After saying goodbye to Wu Zhihao and the others, Fang Ping was about to leave when Wu Zhihao asked with a face full of anticipation, "Fang Ping, come to my house tonight?" Fang Ping's expression darkened. It would not have been a problem for a beautiful woman to say this, but what did a man like him mean? Wu Zhihao didn't notice this at all. He said with a smile, "Aren't you curious about how much vitality you have? Brother Wang said that you have high hopes for martial sciences, so your vitality must have increased by quite a lot. Why don't you come to my house for another test?" Fang Ping breathed a sigh of relief. "Can't you finish your sentence in one go?" Those who didn't know might think that there was something going on between us after hearing the first half of the sentence. "Forget it. It's no trouble. It's no trouble at all. Fang Ping, go ahead. I really don't want to trouble you. I still have something to do tonight. I'll go again when I have the chance." Fang Ping did not want to provoke this person. Jealousy could drive a person crazy. Wu Zhihao was not sure how much vitality he could maintain. If they knew that he was already at 120 calories, they might not be able to keep their composure. Wu Zhihao was not a bad person. It would be a sin if he was defeated by Fang Ping. Seeing Fang Ping's determination, Wu Zhihao could only give up on the thought, even though he still wanted to know his vitality. After saying goodbye to the others in class, Fang Ping walked straight out of the school and toward his home. Not long after Fang Ping left, Wang Jinyang declined the school's invitation to have dinner together. To Wang Jinyang, coming to number 1 high school was just a bonus. He was doing them a favor and earning some money at the same time. It was not a waste of money. Sun City's Department of Investigation Services was the biggest winner, though. 500,000 was not a lot, but it was a lot for a small city like Sun City. Missions in small cities were also easy to complete. The risk was not high, and if everything went smoothly, it could be completed in no time. He grabbed his backpack and left the school. Not long after, a black Volkswagen stopped in front of Wang Jinyang. Wang Jinyang got into the car and asked as soon as he sat down, "According to the information, the person has entered the White Mountains. There are some tourists who have nothing better to do in the day, so they probably won't make a move during the day. Does this mean that they're still in Sun City?" The driver said immediately, "Mr. Wang, you're right. They're definitely still in Sun City. If they're out of Sun City, we should be able to receive news. The director said that they'll inform you immediately if they pass through the White Mountains. You won't have to chase them then." Wang Jinyang frowned slightly. If the person ran out of Sun City, they would not overstep their authority in other places even if they wanted to make a contribution. Not having to chase them did not mean that the mission was completed. It could only end in failure. Based on the nature of the Department of Investigation Services, if they could not catch the person, they would not have any money. Giving them some transportation fees was already good enough. After some thought, Wang Jinyang said, "They've been living in Sun City for a while. You haven't had any contact with them?" The driver laughed dryly. "They're very vigilant. Your director hasn't even tried to test them?" That Wang Jinyang pursed his lips. These old foxes valued their lives very much. How would they dare to test them? Is the other party really ranked too? That the driver was a little embarrassed. He saw Wang Jinyang's expression from the rearview mirror and said hurriedly, "He's ranked too, definitely. This guy has committed crimes in other places a few times, all for the sake of obtaining related resources for breakthroughs. However, from the looks of it, he hasn't collected enough resources yet. Even if he has enough resources, he doesn't have enough time to break through. We've been keeping an eye on him for the past few days in Sun City. Everything is normal. If he breaks through, we'll know." There was nothing wrong with what he said. A martial artist's breakthrough was not something that could be achieved in the blink of an eye. Wang Jinyang nodded slightly and said nothing else. When this mission was completed and he received this 500,000, in addition to the 60,000 from number 1 high school, he would have almost 2 million funds on hand. He would apply for a portion from the school, and it would almost be enough for his next needs. He recalled that a year ago, he could not even afford a blood-replenishing pill that cost a few thousand yuan. Now, he had millions of savings on hand, but it was still far from enough. Ordinary people would probably find it hard to imagine that he could earn so much money in a year. Wang Jinyang laughed at himself as he thought about it. No matter how much money he earned, it would never be enough to spend. For martial artists, unless they were high-ranked powerhouses who ran businesses that made a lot of money, even if they were from the government, the resources provided were very limited. It was already very rare for him to be able to earn money so quickly. Some martial artists did not have any channels or connections. It was fine if they graduated from martial arts universities, but martial artists who graduated from martial arts classes in society were the ones who lived a miserable life. Many people were often trapped in rank, one for the rest of their lives. For example, if this person was a martial arts university student or graduate who would risk committing crimes for the sake of a few million in cultivation resources. However, the other party could not help but resort to underhanded means. It was clear that some martial artists were not as glamorous as outsiders thought. He hoped that after this breakthrough, he would be able to find something to do that would earn him more money. Perhaps he could go to some small businesses and put his name on it. After some thought, Wang Jinyang dismissed the idea. Small businesses did not have many things to do, but he would often have to deal with some small problems. If there were too many times, he might as well take on a job himself. This was also the reason why very few martial artists were willing to be legal representatives of small businesses. It was troublesome and not worth it. Most martial artists who were willing to be legal representatives were idle martial artists in society. However, not everyone could do it. Businesses were more willing to find martial arts university students with clean backgrounds to take on the role. After all, according to the law, businesses were considered legal representatives. If one's character was not good enough, one would not be able to say anything even if they took over your business. This was also the reason why idle martial artists in society were doing badly. Unless they started their own business, otherwise, small businesses would not dare to hire them. Chapter 21. Lakeview Gardens. Fong Ping had just entered the house when he heard the sound of the front door closing. He closed the door behind him and looked at his mother, who was busy in the backyard. He asked curiously, "Mom, have Annie Chun and the others come back?" "Nope. Tao Tao bought a big house in Sky Houses. Their child was just born, and your Annie Chun is taking care of her grandson. She doesn't have time to come back." Li Yueying was busy preparing vegetables as she said, "They rented it out today?" "Oh." Fong Ping did not mind. He chuckled. "Mom, we'll move to a bigger house after I pass the martial sciences exam." Li Yueying was all smiles. "Why would we need a big house when you pass the exam? Your dad, your sister, and I will live here. This house is big enough for the three of us." "The old house is still too small." Fong Ping shook his head. "Don't count on it to be demolished. I don't think it'll be demolished in 10 years. The residents of Lakeview Gardens were all looking forward to their houses being demolished. They would rather rent them than sell them, because there were rumors of them being demolished every year. Logically speaking, the houses were more than 30 years old, and the location was not too bad. It should be time for them to be demolished. However, Lakeview Gardens could not be demolished. It would still be there after 10 years. Fong Ping had to admit that it was a little depressing. While the mother and son were chatting, the sound of keys unlocking the door was heard. Fong Yuan opened the door and entered. Fong Yuan lowered her head to change her shoes as soon as she opened the door. She almost pushed Fong Ping, who was in the middle of changing his shoes, to the ground. Before Fong Ping could say anything, Fong Yuan exclaimed in shock, "Fong Ping, what are you doing? You almost scared me to death." Fong Ping turned to look at his sister. "Don't you feel guilty? You were the one who almost pushed me to the ground, okay? I didn't even complain, but you're accusing me first." Ignoring her, Fong Ping changed into his shoes and entered the living room. Fong Yuan changed into her shoes hurriedly, then asked curiously, "Fong Ping, why did you come back earlier than me today?" "The school organized a martial sciences exam lecture. I came back right after." "Is that Wang Jinyang going to give you a lecture? You know about this too?" Fong Ping was a little surprised. These middle school students were concerned about this? Fong Yuan said matter-of-factly, "Of course I know. My classmate's sister is also in number 1 middle school. My classmate even asked her sister to get Wang Jinyang's autograph." I wonder if she got it. Fang Yuan asked Fang Ping, have you seen Wang Jinyang? Nonsense. How can I listen to the lecture if I don't see it? Not only did I see him, I even picked him up from the train station. Really? Of course it's real. Fang Yuan was annoyed when she heard that. Why didn't you say so earlier? Fang Ping thought that she was also a fan. He curled his lips and said, what's there to say? You're just average looking. You're not even as handsome as me. Are you stupid? Fang Yuan was extremely disdainful. Her big brother was indeed brainless. If you say that you're going to fetch Wang Jinyang, bring a small notebook and ask for his signature. I'll sell it at the school. Many people in our school worship Wang Jinyang. Of course, it doesn't matter if he's a martial artist, as long as he has some fame. We can sell one autograph for 10 yuan. If we sign a few hundred of them, we'll be rich. Fang Ping's jaw dropped. Was that even possible? What was his sister's brain made of? Other people were thinking about autographs, but she was thinking about selling them. Fang Yuan was still annoyed that Fang Ping did not tell her in advance. She asked hurriedly, has he left now? If he hasn't, why don't you ask him for his autograph? When I sell it, we will split the profits 30, 70. I'm 70? You're 30. I say, Fang Yuan, it's such a pity that you're not doing business. It's not the first time you've cheated your brother. Fang Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. He shook his head and said, he left a long time ago. Where can I get his autograph? Besides, your brother can't afford to lose face like this. Fang Yuan mumbled, what's there to be ashamed of? A few thousand yuan is enough for me for a year, and I'll still have to pay for it. Fang Ping did not say anything. He did not even think about it. If he did, he might actually do it. It was a pity that he did not think about it. Of course, even if he did, Wang Jinyang might not agree to it. As the siblings chatted, Li Yueying, who was in the yard, asked curiously, Wang Jinyang, is he the one who got into martial arts university last year? Mom, you know him too? Fang Ping was even more surprised. He was just a freshman martial science student, but he had almost become a household name. Li Yueying smiled. I've been to your school. Your teacher mentioned him before. I think that's the name, but I can't remember it clearly. Nowadays, getting into a martial arts university was more famous than getting into Tsinghua University or Peking University in his past life. Wang Jinyang was even more famous because he came from an ordinary family. It was not strange that families related to number 1 high school would know about him. Fang Ping's eyes lit up when he heard that his mother knew about Wang Jinyang. He smiled suddenly. Mom, since you know about Wang Jinyang, it'll be easier. Didn't I pick him up today? I was going to ask Wu Jihao's father to buy some medicine for me, but Wang Jinyang has it too, and it was distributed by his school. He said he didn't need it. I thought that since he's a martial arts university student, the medicine distributed by the school might be more effective, so I bought a blood and qi replenishing pill from Wang Jinyang. I just feel like something's off, the little girl muttered. Did Fang Ping think that she was stupid enough to ask Fang Ping? Where could she go? Although she felt that her brother was lying, Fang Yuan still said, I don't care if it's true or not. You're not allowed to do anything bad. Fang Ping could not help but laugh. He reached out and pinched her cheek again, saying helplessly, what bad things can I do? Don't worry. Have some faith in your brother. Okay? I want you to pass the martial sciences exams too, but I keep thinking that if you can, then everyone else can. Ouch. Before the little girl could finish her sentence, she glared at Fang Ping with an aggrieved expression. Fang Ping had pinched her cheeks harder. Fang Ping pinched his sister's round cheeks harder, feeling even more depressed than her. Was her brother really that useless? The siblings stared at each other for a long time until Fang Mingrong returned. Fang Ping rubbed his eyes and told his father what had happened. Like Li Yueying, Fang Mingrong did not suspect his son. Most parents in the world were like that. They always thought that their children would not lie to them. Moreover, his son had been a good student all these years. Fang Mingrong had never thought that his son would dare to cheat him of 20,000 yuan. It was not a small amount. When he found out that it was a martial arts university student who had sold it to Fang Ping, Fang Mingrong felt that it was more reliable than asking Fang Ping's classmate's father to buy the medicine. It was a pity that he did not get to see his son eat the medicine on the spot. However, he had bought the medicine for his son. Fong Mingrong quickly forgot about this small regret. During dinner, Fong Mingrong drank an extra glass of baijiu than usual. He seemed to be in a good mood. If Wang Jinyang had said that his son had a chance of passing the martial sciences exams, then it must be true. For a moment, the whole family was happy and harmonious. Fong Ping was satisfied with the excuse he had come up with. It was settled. Chapter 22. Song Mountain. Song Mountain was not a well-known mountain range, but it still traversed two provinces. The Song Mountain range in Sun City could only be considered an offshoot. It was not too steep. Right now, Wang Jinyang was in the middle of the mountain range. He had a backpack on his back, but in his hand was a military defector. Wang Jinyang frowned as he cut off the brambles blocking his way. He held a military triple defense phone in his hand and asked, "Chief Zhang, are you sure the person has entered the mountain?" A deep, smooth, middle-aged male voice came from the phone. After Huang Bin escaped our surveillance, he took a taxi to Song Mountain entrance number 3. This is the result of the taxi company's investigation. The driver saw him enter the entrance. He also brought a backpack with him, which contained a lot of food and water. He already prepared food and water. Why didn't you act earlier? Wang Jinyang was displeased. No matter how small that Song Mountain offshoot was, it would be hard to find a person. If Sun City could delay him for a while, he could go straight to his target. It would not have been so troublesome. The person on the other end of the phone was not angry. He smiled and said, "This is for the safety of the people. Huang Bin is a rank 2 martial artist trying to break through to rank 3. If we fail to take him down, he might cause great damage to Sun City." Wang Jinyang could not be bothered to listen to his explanation. He took a deep breath and said, "I've searched everywhere near the entrance but didn't find any traces. He's a rank 2 martial artist. It's not difficult for him to not leave any traces. There are many people at the entrance, so it's hard to find anything. I'll go deeper and look for him. I'll have to trouble Chief Zhang to cooperate with me and send some people to stand guard at all the entrances to Sun City. If we can't find him in 3 days, I'll have to give up on this mission." Wang Jinyang didn't want to waste too much time here. Besides, the martial sciences end-of-semester assessment was approaching. Although he could pass it, he still wanted to fight for first place and get more resources. Chief Zhang did not reject his offer. "Okay, we'll contact you when there's news. If we can't find him, then forget it. If we can't find him, I'll report it to Auspicious Sun City. Auspicious Sun City will communicate with Northern Jiangsu to arrest him." Even so, Chief Zhang still felt a little regretful. It was a pity that Huang Bin was too vigilant. Otherwise, if he had waited for Wang Jinyang to arrive and take him down, a rank 2 martial artist who had committed a crime would be captured and brought to justice. As for himself, although he was also a rank 2 martial artist, it had been almost 10 years since he had last fought since he had arrived in Sun City. If he went up to grab them, the chances of him being killed would be even higher. As for the use of firearms, a rank 2 martial artist would naturally not be able to withstand it. However, if the other party was bent on escaping, once he escaped to the area where normal people gathered, that would be the real problem. Most of the time, it was better not to make a contribution than to make a big mistake. Capturing them was a meritorious deed, but if a few ordinary people died, it would be a huge mistake. Even capturing them would not be enough to make up for it. That was why Yang City had only been monitoring them and not arresting them. He didn't expect something to go wrong on the last day. He didn't know if it was because Huang Bin found out about Wang Jinyang's purpose in coming to Sun City. But Chief Zhang was still a little gloomy. Wang Jinyang probably didn't have much status in the eyes of these casual martial artists, right? He was a student who had just entered martial arts university for a year. If Chief Zhang hadn't graduated from Nanjiang Martial Arts University and knew how powerful this junior was, he probably wouldn't have hired him. The two of them exchanged a few words before Wang Jinyang hung up. He carried his backpack and continued walking into the mountains. 3 days was the limit. He might not even need 3 days. He would probably be out of Sun City's territory in a day. Even if he managed to capture them, it would be hard to say if he could bring them back to claim his reward. Sun City. Lakeview Gardens. Fang Ping was no longer cooped up in his room like he did a few days ago. His vitality had increased during the day, but his body was not strong enough. That was why after dinner, Fang Ping went to his backyard to exercise. He didn't go outside. There were no gyms in the old residential area. The small park was occupied by the uncles and aunties. Fang Ping didn't want to be a circus. Luckily, he had a yard. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have a place to exercise in his current situation. Without the help of equipment, Fang Ping could only do some simple exercises. Push-ups, sit-ups, and squats were the exercises he could do. Seeing that the backyard was still a little empty, Fang Ping decided to ask his father to set up a log tomorrow so he could do pull-ups. The effect of increasing his vitality was obvious. If it were the Fang Ping from his past life, he would be exhausted after doing 30 push-ups. Now, however, he did 50 in one go. Fang Ping didn't think it would be as tiring as he thought it would be. Doing 100 at a time should not be a problem. If he persisted every day and trained in the morning and night, he would be able to adapt to his current vitality in a few days. Fang Ping trained in the yard for a while. When he was doing sit-ups, he saw that the lights were on upstairs. He glanced at them subconsciously. It was very quiet upstairs. Other than the lights, there was almost no sign of anyone living there. Fang Ping glanced at them but didn't pay much attention to them. He continued to train. Second floor. Huang Bin was actually standing by the window. He had gotten used to hiding, so he subconsciously hid behind the wall. He glanced at the teenagers working out downstairs with the corner of his eye, and an indescribable expression appeared on his face. Once upon a time, he had been like these teenagers, working hard to get into martial sciences. However, reality was cruel. In the end, he didn't even get into a good liberal arts university, much less martial sciences. He went to a university that was extremely bad even back then. After graduation, he worked in a state-owned factory. After years of hard work, he managed to save some money. Unwilling to stay in the factory for the rest of his life, he spent all his savings and enrolled in a martial arts training class. Perhaps it was because of his luck, but he learned a lot from the martial arts training class. After that, he worked for a few more years. Finally, when he was 30 years old, he managed to gather enough resources for a breakthrough and officially became a rank 1 martial artist. He thought that everything would be different once he became a martial artist. He thought that he could live a life above everyone else. However, reality dealt him a heavy blow once again. Because he came from an unorthodox background, the martial artists in the martial arts training class were no match for the martial arts university students. This was inevitable. He had only reached rank 1 at 30 years old, which was considered the lowest among martial artists. However, he was still a martial artist. His life was slightly better than before. If Huang Bin had been content and entered a company, it would not have been too difficult for him to accumulate tens of millions by now. However, he still wanted to move up. It was only now that he realized how difficult the path of martial arts was. He was not a martial artist from a martial arts university, nor was he a martial artist from the government. He was not even a martial artist from a big company. Some resources could only be bought at a high price through special channels. A martial artist's cultivation required money for everything. Equipment required money. Cultivation resources required money. Cultivation methods required money. Pills required money. In the end, he could not make ends meet. He worked and cultivated at the same time, but he never had enough money to spend. After accumulating for a few years and barely breaking through to rank 2, he was once again penniless. When he thought about breaking through to rank 3, he still had to spend close to tens of millions. Huang Bin felt a little hopeless. In the blink of an eye, he became a middle-aged man. He was already 40 years old, but rank 3 was still out of his reach. Some of the resources he needed for a breakthrough were even limited products. Huang Bin also thought about joining an official organization or a well-known big company. With his rank 2 cultivation, it was not like no one wanted him. However, when he thought about entering these organizations, he still had to undergo inspection and accept missions, and he still had to wait a few more years. Huang Bin felt that it was too much of a waste of time. Holding on to a fluke mentality, he robbed a guy who traded with him. After that, things got out of hand. Robbery. The items came too quickly. It took him one night to get his hands on something that was worth millions. If it was before, he would have needed at least a year. Since the robbery came so quickly, the mentality of reaping without sowing took over Huang Bin's mind. After that, he did the same thing a few more times. The results went without saying. There was no such thing as an impenetrable wall. Very soon, he was wanted. Looking at the youth downstairs, Huang Bin sank into his memories. He quickly shook his head and sneered. Another kid on the road of no return. Was the martial sciences exam that easy? If he did not pass and still did not give up, he would suffer in the future. He was the best example. Living in a small area like this, his family's financial situation went without saying. Adolescence was the most important time to build one's foundation. With the family of the youth downstairs, would they be able to provide him with enough nourishing medicine and food? God is so unfair. Huang Bin cursed under his breath. Why did some people come from rich families and treat a few million like pocket money? Why did they have to be lower than those martial arts university graduates even after becoming martial artists? Take Sun City, for example. If the director of the Department of Investigation Services appeared in front of him now, Huang Bin was confident that he could kill him in 10 minutes. However, he was the director of the Department of Investigation Services in Sun City. If he joined now, he would have to work for someone like that. It would take him at least 5 years to reach this position. From Huang Bin's perspective, all of this was unfair. Thinking of this, Huang Bin lost interest in watching any further. He turned around and went back to his room. As for the kid downstairs, Huang Bin sneered. He hoped that the kid would not despair. Fang Ping would not despair, of course. He had never thought that he would not be able to pass the martial sciences exam. Fang Ping did not notice the spying from upstairs. Although his mentality was slightly stronger than the average person's, Huang Bin was much stronger than him. Naturally, he could not sense it. After training for more than an hour, Fang Ping was worried that going too far would be as bad as not going far enough, so he did not continue. He went back to his room to wash up, then went to study. Chapter 23. The next day, April 10th, Thursday. Fang Ping's muscles were sore the moment he woke up. It was better than he had expected, though. People who had not trained for a long time would definitely have sore muscles after a sudden workout. However, due to his high vitality, this adverse reaction was minimized. Fang Ping now understood why vitality was a requirement for martial artists. Strong vitality could cure all diseases and even eliminate fatigue. Only people like that had the confidence to become martial artists. Otherwise, the workout yesterday alone would have left Fang Ping with sore muscles for a few days. When he woke up, his parents were already out, as usual. Fang Yuan washed her face and brushed her teeth in a daze. Children at that age were more prone to sleep. Fang Yuan knew that Fang Ping had trained the whole night. She was slightly envious when she saw her brother's high spirits with half-opened eyes. Fang Ping, aren't you tired? Not at all. I feel refreshed and I'm enjoying my food. Fang Yuan pursed her lips. He only knew how to provoke people. The siblings cleaned up quickly and finished the breakfast their mother had prepared. Then, they carried their backpacks and left the house. As soon as they left, Fang Yuan tossed her backpack to Fang Ping. Aren't you tired? Carry this for me. Fang Yuan's middle school was not too far from No. 1 high school. It was on the way. Fang Ping shook his head with a smile. He did not say anything and picked up the backpack. As soon as they walked out of the corridor, a middle-aged man walked toward them with breakfast in his hands. Fang Ping glanced at him casually. He was slightly surprised when he saw the man walking toward his unit. Then, he realized that he was probably a tenant from upstairs. There were only a dozen or so households in the old unit, so it was rare to see unfamiliar faces. Since they did not know each other, Fang Ping did not greet him and walked past him. When Huang Bin passed by Fang Ping, his initially calm brows twitched suddenly. Martial artists could roughly sense the vitality of ordinary people. Wang Jinyang had done this before. However, they had to be close. After all, low-ranked martial artists were not very strong. Huang Bin had not noticed anything when he was upstairs last night. However, as he walked past Fang Ping, Huang Bin immediately sensed that something was wrong with Fang Ping. This kid's vitality was very high. At least, It was very high compared to ordinary people. Huang Bin frowned. Suddenly, he felt jealous. Last night, he had thought that the youth downstairs would definitely despair in the future. He also felt that the world was unfair on Fang Ping's behalf. Born in an ordinary family, he was naturally inferior to others. Now, however, he suddenly realized that the kid he had been pitying last night had a very high vitality. Based on the information he knew, the probability of him passing the martial sciences exams was very high, even if there were no problems with the other exams. Thinking of this, Huang Bin felt like his face had been slapped swollen. What right did he have to sympathize with others? Compared to this youth, when he was the same age as him, he wasn't even fit to carry his shoes for him. He had not been able to pass the martial sciences exam. Some of his classmates had become martial artists at the age of 20, but he had spent 10 more years and countless amounts of money to become a martial artist at the age of 30. Once the youth in front of him passed the martial sciences exams, it was highly likely that he would become a martial artist before the age of 20. With the support of a martial arts university, the fact that the young man was born into such a family and had such vitality meant that he was quite talented. Perhaps, in a few years' time, the other party would be able to break through to the second or even third grade, and then look down on him. She actually sympathized with him? Pity him? The more Huang Bin thought about it, the uglier his expression became. Everyone had jealousy in their hearts. Some people could restrain themselves, while others couldn't, or didn't want to. If it were the Huang Bin of the past, he might have restrained himself. However, his bottom line had been crossed time and time again, and he had been hunted down to the point where he could only hide here like a street rat. Huang Bin rarely restrained his primitive desires. That was why, when he passed by Fang Ping, Huang Bin's expression was extremely ugly. He even had the urge to cripple the kid. Fortunately, Huang Bin managed to restrain himself in the end. Right now, keeping a low profile was the most important thing. There was no need to ruin his plans for this kid. However, if he ran into this kid before he left, he might as well do something sneaky. Why did others have to live more freely than he did? God was so unfair that he could run into a prodigy just by hiding in a random place. That was even more unfair. Huang Bin walked away as if nothing had happened. Fang Ping could not help but turn back to look. His mentality was slightly higher than the average person's, so he had the sudden urge to have goosebumps all over his back. Although it was only for a moment, he could not help but feel a sense of fear in his mind. He tilted his head for a while, but all he could see was the back of the tenant upstairs. Fang Ping frowned slightly but did not make a sound. Seeing that he was not leaving, Fang Yuan asked curiously, "What are you looking at?" "I didn't see anything. That's the tenant upstairs." "Oh." Annie Chun and the others left. "The apartment has been empty for a long time. I wonder if the uncle has a daughter at home. There aren't any girls around my age in this unit. I don't have anyone to play with me even if I want to," Fang Yuan mumbled. Fang Yuan murmured. She was hoping that the man would have a daughter the same age as her. Fang Ping shook his head. "The uncle is the only one upstairs." "Alone?" Fang Yuan mumbled. "That uncle can really eat. I saw that he bought more than 10 buns. I thought he was going to eat with his family." More than 10 buns. The speaker did not mean it, but the listener did. Fang Ping did not pay attention to the middle-aged man's breakfast earlier. Now that he thought about it, it did seem like a big bag. Could one person eat so much? Or was there someone else? However, it was very quiet upstairs last night. It did not seem like there were many people there. What did that mean? Fang Ping had a vague suspicion in his heart. What kind of person could eat so much? Martial artists, of course. Martial artists ate a lot. That was inevitable. Their bodies consumed a lot of energy, and they also had to maintain their vitality. Those who could afford it could eat special supplements to maintain their body's needs. They did not have to eat and drink excessively. Those who could not afford it could only rely on normal food to replenish their body's needs. This was also why, if martial artists did not restrain themselves and ate normal food, their consumption would be many times, or even tens of times that of ordinary people. Martial artist. Is the guy upstairs a martial artist? Fang Ping thought absent-mindedly as he walked. Thinking back to the sudden sense of fear he had felt earlier, Fang Ping gulped. A martial artist was definitely the kind of person with the highest status in Sun City. Why would someone like that rent an apartment in an old residential area like Lakeview Gardens? Is he here to deal with me? Fong Ping could not be blamed for his narcissism. He was a high-class reincarnated person with an unreliable system. In the past few days, his vitality had been rising steadily. Suddenly, there was a martial artist upstairs, and it was only yesterday. Fong Ping could not help but think about it. Did he discover something special about me? Fong Ping felt his mouth go dry. Was that murderous aura I felt just now? The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. Someone wants to kill me, or is he trying to find out some secret from me? Fong Ping began to scare himself. His face was pale. He had never seen a martial artist in action, but just imagining it made him think that martial artists were scary. After all, even in the era of firearms, martial artists could rise to the top of society. If the other party attacked him, he might not even have the strength to fight back. He's not attacking me now because he wants to observe me in the dark and find out my secret? What should I do? Call the police? But there are very few martial artists in Sun City. What should I say if I call the police? That I have a system and am reborn. So there's a martial artist who wants to kill me? In the end, he could only comfort himself. He was not looking for me, not looking for me. But if he was not looking for me, why was he living above me? He was obviously looking for me. Chapter 24. Be prepared for danger in times of peace. Fong Ping did not think it was wrong to overthink. His life was his. Overthinking and scaring himself was better than losing his life. If he did not take it seriously, he would be an idiot. He would not even know how he died. It was best if the other party had no ill intentions. If he did, it was better to be prepared than not. In Fong Ping's opinion, it was easy to determine if the other party had ill intentions. If the other party was really a martial artist, then it was very likely that he had ill intentions. Modern times were not ancient times. Martial artists were a special class in society. They did not live in seclusion. Moreover, who would be stupid enough to rent a house and live in seclusion in an old residential area? Therefore, as long as he could determine if the other party was a martial artist, he would be able to make a rough guess. So what if he guessed wrong? He forced himself to calm down. He had not thought much about it because he was panicking earlier. Now, he felt that he was not in much danger. If the other party wanted to do something to him, he would observe first. Otherwise, there was no need for him to rent a house. He was just a normal student. It would be too easy for a martial artist to kill him. Since he was not in danger for the time being, he could try to determine the other party's identity. The steamed buns in the morning were not enough to prove anything. It was not like normal people did not have large appetites. Fong Ping wrote and drew on his own for the whole day. Sometimes, he would ask Wu Zhihao and the others for information in a roundabout way. When school ended in the afternoon, Fong Ping had a plan in mind. Although he was not a martial artist, he was not a teenager either. He was almost 30 years old. At least psychologically, he was much stronger than these high school students. Lakeview Gardens. Once school was over, Fong Ping hurried home. He did not finish school early today, so Fong Yuan came home earlier than him. His mother was busy in the kitchen as usual. Once he entered the house, Fong Ping first went to the bathroom, then wandered around the backyard. Fong Yuan, who was watching TV, was slightly surprised. Had her brother changed? For the past few days, the thing Fong Ping did the most when he saw her was pinching her cheeks. She had prepared herself just now, but Fong Ping had gone home, wandered around, and completely ignored her. When Fong Ping returned to the living room, Fong Yuan asked curiously, "Fong Ping, what are you looking for? Did you lose money?" Fong Ping chuckled. "I, your brother, am dirt poor. I don't have any money to lose." As he spoke, Fong Ping raised his voice slightly. "Mom, is the uncle upstairs home? What happened?" In the kitchen, Li Yueying asked curiously why her son was asking about the tenants upstairs. "I was looking at the bathroom just now, and there seems to be some water seeping through the roof. Could it be that the water seeped through the roof again because I didn't pay attention when I just got here?" "Did I?" Li Yueying really didn't care about this matter. She casually said, "It's fine if it's not serious. Old houses are all like this. I have to remind him that the uncle upstairs is at home. I'll go greet him. They've just arrived, so they probably don't know much." Hearing her son's words, Li Yueying didn't stop him. She said, "He should be at home. I saw him buy something when I came back this afternoon, but I didn't hear the door open." The soundproofing of the rooms upstairs and downstairs wasn't good. If the door was opened and the door was closed, they would be able to hear it. Fong Ping did not ask any more questions. He stepped out of the door, ready to go upstairs to look for her. Fong Yuan was speechless when she saw that he was really going to greet them. Fong Ping had never cared about such things in the past, but he was getting weirder and weirder lately. Second floor. Fong Ping sucked in a breath and forced himself to calm down. He reached out and knocked on the anti-theft door. The house was very quiet, as if no one was there. Fong Ping didn't give up. He knocked on the door again and said, "Hello, is anyone home? I'm from downstairs. Is anyone home?" After knocking on the door a few times, the door behind the anti-theft door opened. Huangbin frowned slightly, but he quickly put on an honest smile and said, "I didn't hear you just now. You are?" "Hello, uncle. I'm from downstairs. I heard from my mom yesterday that Auntie Chin's house has been rented out." Fong Ping gave a brief introduction and said, a little embarrassed, "Uncle, it's like this. The houses in our area are a little old, and the pipes have aged a lot. Also, Auntie Chin didn't waterproof the bathrooms very well when she renovated them. I took a look just now, and my bathroom seems to be leaking. Uncle, you probably don't know about this, so I came up to take a look." Huangbin's eyebrows twitched. The landlord had mentioned this yesterday, and he didn't pay attention to it when he was showering. Was he here to question him? It was a small matter, though. Huangbin didn't want to make any noise and attract attention. He quickly smiled and said, "I'm sorry. I just moved here, so I'm not too sure. I'll be more careful next time." "It's nothing. It's just an old problem." As Fong Ping spoke, he saw that the guy didn't open the door. So he said, "Uncle, look, is it convenient for me to take a look at your bathroom? It might not be a problem on your side. Maybe the main pipe is leaking again. If the main pipe is leaking, you'll have to find someone to fix it. Otherwise, we won't be able to look at it in a few days." Huangbin frowned slightly, but he quickly nodded and said, "Sure, take a look. If it's my problem, I can find someone to fix it." "Sorry for the trouble," Fong Ping said politely. Fong Ping replied politely. Huangbin opened the security door and let Fong Ping in. Fong Ping glanced around the house casually. He had actually been upstairs before. When Annie Chen lived there, he would sometimes come here to play. It was not much different from what he remembered. Huangbin had just arrived yesterday, so he probably didn't have time to make any changes. He glanced around and saw that the curtains on the balcony were half drawn. Fong Ping did not say anything. A grown man cooped up at home with the curtains half drawn in the middle of the day. It was obviously not normal. Fong Ping didn't pay much attention to him. He walked toward the bathroom with a smile on his face. As he walked, he said, "Uncle, you got off work early. I thought you weren't back yet." Huangbin explained casually, "It's not that I got off work early. I just came to Sun City and am looking for a job. I haven't officially started work yet." He had been cooped up here for the past few days and did not go out much. Naturally, he could not say that he had just gotten off work. "Oh, what do you do, uncle?" "My dad works in a ceramics factory in the suburbs. He's been there for many years. The ceramics factory is hiring recently. Should I talk to my dad about it?" "No need, no need. I'm almost done looking for a job. There's no need to trouble yourself." Huangbin was a little impatient. This brat sure was troublesome. Fong Ping saw this and did not say anything else, but he still remembered it in his heart. Not from Sun City? After entering the bathroom, she looked around and checked the pipes with a serious expression. After a while, Fong Ping let out a breath and said, "It shouldn't be a problem with the main pipe. Uncle, next time when you shower, it's best to use a basin to collect water. I'm sorry for the trouble." It's fine. I'll be more careful next time." Huangbin was easy to talk to, but he was a little impatient. He still had things to do, and this kid was still here. Fong Ping did not linger. He glanced at Huang Bin's hand from the corner of his eye and smiled. "Uncle, I'll go down first. You've just moved in. If you need any help, you can look for me or my dad." "Okay, let me know if you need anything." The two of them chatted for a while. Under Huang Bin's watchful eyes, Fong Ping went downstairs. Huang Bin only closed the door after Fong Ping went down. He shook his head, not paying much attention to him. Downstairs, Fong Ping's brow furrowed. Although it was just a casual conversation, he could see many things. Huang Bin was most likely a martial artist. Although martial artists were no different from normal people, if one were to look closely, there were still some characteristics. If he had not met a martial artist before, Fong Ping would have overlooked many things. However, he had only met Wang Jinyang not long ago. Wang Jinyang looked no different from normal people, but his eyes were very bright. That was a small characteristic. Also, Wang Jinyang's palms were very rough and had some calluses. Practicing martial arts was not immortal cultivation. There was no such thing as leveling up by meditating. Training one's physique was hard work, and it was common for one's hands and feet to be covered in calluses. Moreover, the longer one practiced martial arts, the thicker the calluses would be. Low-ranked martial artists could forget about being reborn and having tender skin. Fong Ping was not sure about high-ranked ones either. When he was talking to Huang Bin earlier, he seemed to have glanced at Huang Bin casually, but he was actually looking at his palms. Huang Bin probably did not expect a student to test him, so he did not hide anything. Huang Bin's palms were covered in calluses. They were not the kind of calluses caused by hard work. There was a difference between the two. Calluses caused by hard work were definitely different from those caused by martial artists. Normal students might not care about this, but Fong Ping was not going to ignore it. Considering that Huang Bin had a big appetite, Fong Ping felt that he could draw a conclusion. Huang Bin was a martial artist. Even if he was not a martial artist, he had immersed himself in martial arts training for many years. He did not have a job, nor did he have the intention to look for one. All he wanted was to hide in his rented house. All the signs pointed to a problem with this guy. After confirming his guess, Fong Ping felt that he had to be careful. A guy who did not seem like a good person was living above him, and he was indeed problematic. He had to prepare for the worst. What should I do? Fong Ping fell into deep thought again. Wait passively? If he waited and waited, he might lose his life. That was not impossible. Call the police? Huang Bin had not really done anything to him. Why would he call the police? Asking for help from an expert? What a joke. Where could he find one? After thinking about it, he still had to rely on himself. Strike first? Fong Ping was shocked by the sudden idea. Since when had he become so daring? Huang Bin was a martial artist. Putting aside the question of whether he could do anything to him, if he guessed wrong, would he not be breaking the law? Fong Ping hesitated, but he quickly gritted his teeth and decided to give it a try. He did not say that he had to kill him. In reality, Fong Ping did not have the guts to kill him. Whether he was a good person or a bad person, as long as he did not kill him, he could just call the police. If he was a good person, he could explain. There might not be any trouble. He was a hot-blooded student. If he thought that Huang Bin was a bad person, he would help the police catch him. If he caught the wrong person, the most he would get was a scolding and education. If he was a bad person, though, things would be easier. Taking the initiative to resolve the crisis was better than passively waiting for it to happen. As for how to catch him, martial artists were not immortals. There were ways to solve problems in modern society. If Fong Ping was a martial artist, the other party might be on guard. But Fong Ping was just a normal student. Who would take him seriously? Chapter 25. Fong Ping thought that it was better to rely on himself than on others. However, at this juncture, Fong Ping felt that he had to think more about it. After some consideration, Fong Ping decided to try calling the police first. If it really did not work, then he would think of another way. At night, Fong Ping found an excuse to leave the residential area and used a public phone to call the police. As expected, Fong Ping was unwilling to reveal his identity. He only said that he suspected the tenant upstairs to be a bad person. This time, the woman who answered the call was also speechless. Although she didn't say anything malicious, she only comforted them. We will definitely protect everyone's lives and property. We will send people to patrol. As for whether it was really tracking and patrolling, Fong Ping did not need to use his brain to know whether it was true or not. This was also very normal. The police force was limited, and there was no conclusive evidence. Because of suspicion, a large number of police officers were sent to deal with it. If that was the case, the police wouldn't have to work anymore. They could just wait to deal with these things every day. There were a lot of people who made false reports every day. Unless Fong Ping said that he was about to die, the chances of anyone coming were very low. Besides, Fong Ping would not tell them who he was, so the other party would not come. It was not that Fong Ping did not want to call the police with his real name, but he was worried that the guy upstairs might have some way to find out. If he used his real name and the other party had ill intentions towards him, they would probably attack him immediately. Now that he had called the police as a passerby, even if they found out that he had been acting suspiciously, there were so many people in the neighborhood. It was normal for people to suspect him, but they might not be able to guess that it was Fong Ping. Fong Ping felt a little helpless as he tried to be an auntie to the Sun, but to no avail. After all, Sun City was not a big city. The police force was limited, and the supervision was limited as well. Most of the time, the less trouble they could deal with, the better. This kind of case, where there was no actual crime and someone just used a public phone to call the police, was rarely dealt with. Fong Ping had no choice but to give up on the idea of looking for the police. He could only rely on himself. After he defeated the other party, he would first look for evidence. If he found it, it wouldn't be too late to call the police. I can't find it. Fong Ping rubbed his forehead. If he really could not find it, he had to make a fuss. Since he couldn't find any evidence of the crime upstairs, he would look for his own. He was a hot-blooded young man. In order to help the police catch the bad guys, he had done something that was out of line. After that, he had to admit his mistake to the police uncle. This way, the police would also pay attention. Regardless of whether the other party was a good or bad person, they would be noticed by the police. If he was a good person, then it would be best for him to admit his mistake and actively compensate for it. Bad guy, that's even better. Once and for all, I might even get a certificate. After weighing the pros and cons, Fong Ping felt that no matter what the outcome was, he would at most be criticized and educated. The loss was not too great. Compared to the threat to his life, this kind of result was still acceptable. After figuring this out, Fong Ping felt much more at ease. With a clear conscience, he began plotting how to defeat this guy. That night, Fong Ping continued to train in the backyard. When he was training, though, he felt like someone was watching him from the window on the second floor. He's observing me. Fong Ping came to a conclusion. He was even more certain that the person upstairs was after him. In fact, this could be counted as a lucky hit. Huangbin did look upstairs for a while, but he had something to do, so he didn't look for long. The next day, when Fong Ping went to school in the morning, he bumped into Huangbin, who had just returned from buying breakfast. Huangbin pretended not to know Fong Ping yesterday morning, so he did not bother to greet him. However, when he met Fong Ping that night, they could be considered acquaintances. Therefore, when they met again, Huangbin greeted Fong Ping with a silly smile to maintain his honest image. It would have been better if he had not greeted him. Once he saw the malicious smile on his face, Fong Ping thought again. One who is unaccountably solicitous is hiding evil intentions. If Huangbin knew what he was thinking, he would definitely go mad with frustration. Greeting him would be unaccountably solicitous. If he did not greet him, Fong Ping would probably think that this guy was pretending not to know him. This was the principle of suspecting one's neighbor and stealing one's axe. When you suspect someone, no matter what that person did, you would think it was the same as what you had guessed. Now that Fong Ping suspected that Huangbin was up to no good, Fong Ping felt that this guy was up to no good. Fong Ping was sure that this guy was up to no good, and he was even more determined to deal with him first. If he was unprepared, there was still a way to take him down. In the morning, Fong Ping looked like he was reading seriously, but in fact, he was planning his next move. When the morning classes ended, Fong Ping disappeared without a trace. Chen Fan saw how fast he was running. Other than sighing, "What a good body," he could only be envious. When class started at noon, Fong Ping arrived at school on time. No one noticed that Fong Ping had a few more small bags in his pockets. Drugs like sleeping pills and tranquilizers were the most effective to knock someone out. Of course, these were all prescription drugs and were hard to buy. Fong Ping did not plan to buy them, either. They were only average and took a long time to take effect. Moreover, the other party might be a martial artist. His body's resistance was stronger than the average person's, so normal sleeping pills would not work, unless he took a lot of drugs. But the person upstairs was not an idiot. Only an idiot would take a bunch of shiny white pills if they were given to him. If it were a normal student, they would be at their wits' end. Unfortunately, Fong Ping was not one of them. At noon, Fong Ping went to an adult toy store. In his past life, one of Fong Ping's friends, who was a reporter, had done a covert investigation to investigate the hypnotic drugs that had been the talk of the town at the time. The results proved that making a person unconscious and lose their memories in a matter of seconds was pure nonsense. If such drugs really existed, the Department of Anesthesiology would have been eliminated a long time ago. However, there were drugs that were similar to anesthetics, but more effective than anesthetics. These drugs had added anesthetic and tranquilizing ingredients. They only cared about the drug's effects and did not care about the consequences. It was normal to feel nauseous and dizzy for a few days. Fong Ping's friend tried it himself. He drank a little of the amnesia potion. Although he did not pass out, he was still groggy and weak. Fong Ping was there too. He took away his friend's wallet in front of him. According to his friend, he knew what was going on, but he could not stop it even if he wanted to. His limbs were weak, and he could not even speak. However, the drug's effects were not as amazing as the rumors said. He fell into a coma for almost 20 minutes. Perhaps it was because he had only drunk a little, but his friend did not dare to continue the experiment for fear of harming his body. It was because of this experience that Fong Ping knew where to buy this stuff. Actually, at this time, some adult toy stores were selling it openly, and the prices were not expensive. At noon, Fong Ping went to a few stores and spent $400 to buy 3 small bags in one go. According to the perverted boss, the effects were amazing. He also recommended that Fong Ping buy something with an aphrodisiac effect. The kind that Fong Ping bought turned women into corpses after drinking it. He did not recommend using it. Fong Ping snorted at the boss's dirty thoughts. Was he that kind of person? However, he was a young man. Anyone would think that he was that kind of person if he went to an adult store to buy these things. After buying the medicine, the next step was naturally to think of how to make the other party eat it. Fong Ping was worried that martial artists would have a high resistance. The boss said that a normal person would only need 5 milliliters, so Fong Ping bought 3 small bottles, 50 milliliters in total, 10 times the dosage. Even martial artists would feel numb all over, and their consciousness would be muddled, right? However, when he thought that eating too much might kill him, Fong Ping decided to use less. Even if the side effects were greater, it was still better than dying. The guy upstairs did not open his own pot and ate outside. There were no Mate One or Hungry Guys delivering to his door at this time. He bought his own takeout. However, Fong Ping had noticed that the guy upstairs had brought a lunchbox when he went downstairs to throw out the trash. This meant that he did not eat it outside, but bought it and brought it home. He was probably worried that others would suspect something if they saw him eating too much. Without the delivery boy, it would be much more troublesome to make a move. Fong Ping continued to plan. How could he make the guy eat it? His identity as a student and the neighbor downstairs had a considerable numbing effect. The guy would probably not be on guard against him, would he? Fong Ping spent the whole day planning to take down the guy. Fong Ping only shook his head when school ended. He was a little depressed. No matter how he looked at it, he felt like the villain. Fong Ping suppressed the thought and comforted himself. At most, he would make the guy dizzy for a few days. He would just have to compensate him afterward. He was not a woman. How could he take advantage of him? If he was a bad guy, he would be doing the people a favor. When he got home, Fong Ping locked himself in his room and poured a few bottles of knockout liquid together. After some thought, he changed into a long-sleeved shirt and put on a jacket. This way, it would be easier to cover up. When Fong Ping came out of his room, Fong Yuan's face was full of surprise. What was wrong with her brother again? Fong Ping, aren't you hot? Although the weather in April was not as hot as it was in summer, the temperature was still quite high. Fong Ping suddenly put on a jacket when he got home. Was he sick? When he saw his sister, Fong Ping came back to his senses. If the guy was a martial artist and had not been drugged by him, it would be troublesome. It was not safe for his family to be at home at night. His parents would not be home during the day, and Fong Yuan had to go to school. It seemed like it was better to do it during the day to avoid any accidents. At that thought, Fong Ping quickly took off his jacket and chuckled. "I'm fine. I was just a little cold earlier." "Are you sick?" Fong Yuan asked with concern. Fong Ping was about to deny it, but after some consideration, he nodded. "I'm not feeling well. I'll apply for leave tomorrow morning. I'll be fine after a good night's sleep." After hearing that, Fong Yuan went up to touch his forehead. She felt slightly relieved when she felt that he did not have a fever. At night, when they heard that Fong Ping was not feeling well and would apply for leave tomorrow morning, Fong Mingrong and Li Yueying asked about it with concern. Fong Ping said that he was fine. Although they were a little worried, they did not say much in the end. They only thought that if he was still not feeling well the next day, they would have to go to the hospital. Li Yueying had originally wanted to apply for leave to take care of her son, but Fong Ping rejected her outright. Seeing that her son did not seem to be in a serious condition, Li Yueying did not insist. She gave Fong Ping another 100 yuan that night and told him to call a cab to the hospital if he needed anything. Chapter 26. April 11th, Friday. In the morning, Fong Ping used his father's antique phone to apply for the morning's leave from the class teacher. Lu Onghua was very concerned. He urged Fong Ping to rest and take care of himself over the phone. The Fong Ping of today was not the Fong Ping of the past. There was hope for martial sciences. The martial sciences exams were just around the corner. If he were to fall sick now, Lu Onghua would want to cry. Lu Onghua only stopped when Fong Ping said that he was only feeling slightly unwell. He urged him for a while before agreeing to Fong Ping's leave without hesitation. Fong Mingrong and his wife finally believed that their son had a chance for martial sciences. The class teacher would not have done this if he did not have a chance for martial sciences. Fong Yuan, who had doubted her brother's bragging, could not help but believe that her brother was not bragging. The girl was starting to doubt her life. Could her brother really pass the exams? Fong Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry when he saw the disbelief in her eyes. Soon, his parents went to work and Fong Yuan went to school. Fong Ping was the only one left in the house. Although it was quiet upstairs, Fong Ping was sure that the guy upstairs was still at home. A super nerd. Fong Ping had not seen him leave the house other than to eat. Of course, other nerds would stay at home, surf the internet, watch television, or do something else. However, Fong Ping was sure that the guy upstairs did not surf the internet or watch television. The internet had been turned off a long time ago, and the television had not been turned on either. Who knew what kind of naughty things a nerd like this was up to? Fong Ping suspected that the guy was hiding by the window or sticking his ear to the floor, eavesdropping on his house. Fong Ping did not know if martial artists were strong in all aspects, including hearing. That was why he was careful not to say anything out of line even when he was at home, including when he went upstairs to observe and today's leave. Fong Ping had followed the rules. He did it step by step and did not seem out of place. He did not rush upstairs to look for an opportunity. Fong Ping wandered around the house, put on his coat, and stuffed the small bottle of medicine into his sleeve, the mouth of the bottle facing his palm. He tested it against his own cup a few times. When he felt that he could quickly pour it in, he let out a sigh of relief. The medicine smelled bland, but he did not know if it tasted good. Fong Ping was still worried. He took a little from the bottle, mixed it into the water, and took a sip. He tasted it with the tip of his tongue. It was no different from normal water, so he spat it out immediately. Only then did a smile appear on his face. Colorless and odorless. It was better than he had imagined. Martial artists were also humans. Even if their sense of smell and taste were more sensitive, they would not be able to discover it easily. Fong Ping did not think that anyone could remain vigilant at all times, not to mention that he was a good student. He lay in bed for a while. When it was past 9 in the morning, He got up and walked to his kitchen. After entering the kitchen, Fong Ping picked up the thermos and muttered to himself, "There's no hot water in the house? There's no hot water to take the medicine. I can't take it." With a sigh, Fong Ping took a few flu pills and a glass of water with him and headed outside. Second floor. Bang, bang, bang. Huang Bin was rummaging through his bag when he heard the knock on the door. His expression changed slightly. Huang Bin quickly stuffed the package under the sofa and held his breath without moving. "Uncle, are you home?" A voice came from outside the door. Huang Bin frowned. It was that kid again. Annoyance appeared on his face. He lived in seclusion because he did not want to interact with outsiders. This kid had come twice in 2 days. He did not want to answer, but after some thought, he replied, "I'm here. I'll be right there." Outside the door, Huang Bin opened the door with a silly smile on his face. "You didn't go to school today?" Fong Ping rubbed his forehead and said in distress, "I don't know if it's because I've been stressed out these few days. I'm a little dizzy, so I took the whole morning off." "Uncle, do you have hot water in the house?" "I wanted to take some medicine, but there's no hot water in the house. It'll take a while to boil it, so I came up." Huang Bin understood and felt even more annoyed. "You really don't see yourself as an outsider. You're here to borrow water when there's no hot water in the house." Despite his impatience, Huang Bin smiled and said, "I have hot water here. Come in." "Thank you, Uncle. Don't mention it." The two exchanged some pleasantries before Fong Ping entered the house with a glass of water. Huang Bin pointed at the kitchen. "The thermos is over there. Do you want me to help you?" "No, Uncle, don't mention it. I can do it myself." Fong Ping waved his hands hurriedly. He looked at the half-drawn curtains on the balcony and said casually, "It's a little dark in the house. Uncle, are these curtains broken?" "They're not broken." "Oh, I thought the curtains were broken." Huang Bin was even more speechless. Why do you have to care about everything? However, with this guy's reminder, Huang Bin realized that something was not right. It was indeed not appropriate to draw the curtains in the house in broad daylight. Seeing Fong Ping walk toward the kitchen, Huang Bin did not follow. He walked toward the balcony and prepared to open the curtains. Fong Ping breathed a sigh of relief. He had thought about this many times in his mind. Huang Bin was following his plan. Of course, even if Huang Bin did not go to the balcony, Fong Ping had other tricks up his sleeve. Now, he could save himself some trouble. Fong Ping did not waste any time. He went straight into the kitchen, picked up the thermos, and poured a glass of water for himself. Then, he quickly fished out a small medicine bottle from his sleeve, opened the cork, and poured the medicine directly into the thermos. When he was done, Fong Ping stuffed the medicine bottle into his pocket and capped it. Then, he picked up the glass of water and walked out of the kitchen. When he left the kitchen, Huang Bin had already opened the curtains and was walking toward the kitchen. Fong Ping did not panic. The other party could be a martial artist. If the other party could sense his increased heartbeat, it would be troublesome. Seeing Huang Bin walk over, Fong Ping raised the glass of water and said with a smile, "Thank you, Uncle." "No problem." Huang Bin did not say much. He paused after saying that. The kid should leave after pouring the water. Unexpectedly, Fong Ping did not seem to notice the owner's impatience. He had no intention of leaving. Fong Ping had no choice. He did not have any surveillance cameras. Who knew when Huang Bin would drink the water? He could only wait and see. Only when the other party drank the water could he seize the opportunity. Otherwise, if he missed the timing, even if the other party really drank the water, he would not know. It would be useless. Even if the guy did not pay attention to it the first time and drank the water, he would definitely notice that something was wrong afterward. It was almost impossible for him to find a second chance. Besides, he would also be suspected. So there was only one chance. Under such circumstances, Fong Ping naturally would not leave. He would wait until the other party drank the water with his own eyes. Fong Ping did not care about what Huang Bin thought. He held the glass of water and drank it while taking a few flu pills. Then he said, "Uncle, do you usually stay at home alone?" "Yes. My family is in the countryside. I came to Sun City to work alone." Fong Ping cursed in his heart. Can't you be smarter with your lies? Am I that stupid? A part-time worker who doesn't look for a job but rents an apartment by himself. Just takeout alone costs tens to hundreds a day. Do you really think I've never seen a part-time worker before? Despite his curses, Fong Ping said sympathetically, "Your son must miss you a lot. That's how I am. My dad goes out to work and usually comes home late. Sometimes, I miss him a lot when I don't see him for a day." "Right, uncle, can I watch the TV here?" My dad removed the smart card from my TV. He said that I'm a senior in high school, so I'm not allowed to watch TV. I haven't watched TV in a long time. Huang Bin's face turned green. The little bastard downstairs was really thick-skinned. Not only did he ask for water, but he also wanted to watch TV here. Have you considered my feelings? However, considering that the other party was young and did not know the ways of the world, Huang Bin suppressed his impatience and said, "My side." Before he could finish, Fong Ping had already walked to the living room, picked up the remote control, and turned on the TV. As soon as the TV was turned on, Fong Ping said excitedly, "Uncle, can I watch TV here for a while?" Motherf asterisk cur. Huang Bin was cursing in his heart. "I haven't even agreed, and you've already turned on the TV and sat on the sofa. What else can I say? I wanted to say that the TV is broken, but what else can I say now? I'm pretending to be a good person. There is no one else in the house, so I have no excuse to chase him away. Should I say that I want to go out?" Right now, he wished that no one would pay attention to him. What if he goes out in broad daylight and gets watched? After thinking for a while, Huang Bin suppressed his impatience and said with a smile, "It's fine. You can watch for a while if you like." "Uncle, do you like watching football? Do you want to watch it together?" "No need. I'm fine with watching anything." Huang Bin sighed again in his heart. "Forget it. I'll just bear with it for a while. This kid has to go to school eventually. Didn't he say that he took the whole morning off? At most, he'll only watch mealtime." After thinking this through, Huang Bin could not do anything else with an outsider like Fong Ping around. He could only sit on the sofa and stare blankly at the TV. Fong Ping stared at the TV as well. He looked fascinated, but he was actually a little impatient. When is this guy going to drink water? He would leave immediately after he drank water. He would knock on the door in 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, the drug should have taken effect. Even if he did not pass out, he should be feeling weak all over, right? After watching TV for half an hour, Huang Bin had no intention of drinking water. Fong Ping was helpless. He picked up the glass and stood up. "Uncle, I'll go get some water. I'm really thirsty. I'll get you a glass too." Before Huang Bin could refuse, Fong Ping went straight to the kitchen. He did not pour water directly. Instead, he carried the thermos into the living room. He poured a glass for himself first, then poured a large glass for Huang Bin. Huang Bin did not want to talk at all. This kid was a little too friendly. If not for the fact that he did not want to attract attention, he would have thrown him out the window. Fong Ping did not care what Huang Bin was thinking. He glanced at Huang Bin's glass out of the corner of his eye. Fong Ping did not touch his own glass. He continued to stare at the TV, as if he was so engrossed that he forgot to drink water. Humans were susceptible to psychological cues. If there was no water in front of you, you might not go out of your way to find water to drink. However, if there was a glass of water in front of you, even if you were not thirsty, you would subconsciously drink some. This was especially true when someone poured water for you. Most of the time, you would drink some even if you were not thirsty. Fong Ping's act of pouring water for Huang Bin earlier was to complete this psychological cue. Fong Ping was fine. He could use the TV to divert his attention. Huang Bin, on the other hand, was not in the mood to watch TV. He had nothing to do at the moment. Drinking some water could ease his mood. After a few minutes, Huang Bin moved his body. He leaned forward and picked up the glass in front of him. For a moment, Fong Ping's heart almost stopped. In order not to show any signs of abnormality, Fong Ping stared at the TV and said softly, "Score a goal. Score a goal." In reality, Fong Ping was being overly cautious. Huang Bin was on guard against many people. He was on guard against the Department of Investigation Services, foreign martial artists, and other suspicious characters. However, he had never thought of suspecting Fong Ping. He was a teenager, and a student at that. Huang Bin had no grudge against him. Even if he had wanted to cripple him, he did not do anything about it. Under these circumstances, would a teenager plot against him? Not to mention Huang Bin. Anyone else wouldn't have thought that way. When Wang Jinyang came to school, Fang Ping and the others had treated him to a drink. Would Wang Jinyang suspect that someone had poisoned his drink? If everyone was so paranoid, their mental state would have deteriorated a long time ago. Therefore, many of Fang Ping's cover-ups were actually useless. Huang Bin had never thought about this, so he drank the water naturally. He picked up the glass and took a big gulp. When martial artists drank water, they did not lick it in small mouthfuls like girls. After drinking the water, the glass was half empty. Fang Ping saw this and did not stay any longer. He said suddenly, "Oh no, I think I forgot to turn off the gas. Uncle, I'm going downstairs." Huang Bin could not wait for him to leave. He smiled and said, "Sure, come visit often when you're free." "Thank you, Uncle. I'll come back when I'm done." Huang Bin wanted to slap his own mouth. His mouth was King cheap. This kid was so friendly, yet he said such things. Was he out of his mind? Unfortunately, there was no cure for regret in this world. Huang Bin forced himself to say a few polite words before watching Fang Ping hurry out the door and down the stairs. After Fang Ping left, Huang Bin rubbed his temples. His mouth was dry, so he picked up the glass and took another sip. Shaking his head, he ignored Fang Ping and took out the package from under the sofa. Considering that the kid might come back later, Huang Bin took the package and entered the room, just in case the kid saw it. Chapter 27. Downstairs. Fang Ping did not go home. Instead, he exited the building and found a place to hide outside the building. He was worried that the other party would not be affected by the drug and realized that he had set him up, so he would come downstairs to cause trouble. Fang Ping was still very wary of martial artists. His hand had slipped earlier, and he had poured all 3 bottles of medicine into the room. Theoretically, it would be a blessing if no lives were lost. However, martial artists could resist it. Fang Ping did not think anyone would die. Perhaps the other party still had some energy left. He would wait outside for now. He would go up and test the waters later. Unit 201. Huang Bin entered the room and hid the package. Suddenly, he felt his vision blur. He shook his head. Suddenly, he felt his legs go weak. He even had the urge to sit down. Oh no! The first thing that came to Huang Bin's mind was not Fang Ping, but the Department of Investigation Services of Sun City. He had been discovered and plotted against. How did the other party plot against him? The dizzy Huang Bin was terrified and in disbelief. He was sure that no one was monitoring him since he had moved here. He observed carefully every day before he left the house. The people in Sun City monitoring him could not escape his notice. It had been the same last time. He had quickly realized that the people in Sun City were monitoring him. Moreover, he had only gone out to buy breakfast this morning. Breakfast? Had he been drugged? It had been 2 to 3 hours since he had eaten breakfast. What kind of drug would take so long to take effect? Even now, Huang Bin did not think of Fang Ping. His head was heavy, so he did not have time to think. Feeling his limbs go weak, Huang Bin was already anxious. This could not go on. He bit his tongue hard, tasting the thick taste of blood in his mouth. Huang Bin could not care less. He turned around and picked up the package, then climbed to the windowsill with difficulty. When he looked, he saw that the window was installed with anti-theft windows. Motherf asterisk cur. Huang Bin's head was splitting. His limbs were getting numb. He thought that the people from the Department of Investigation Services of Sun City might be waiting outside. He did not dare go through the front door. He could only jump out of the window and see if he could find a way out. Huang Bin struggled to move from his room to the living room. He hit his legs hard. He felt like he couldn't control his limbs anymore. That bastard Fang Ping had given her too many drugs. No matter how strong a martial artist resistance was, Huang Bin was only a rank 2 martial artist. Fang Ping had used 10 times the amount of a normal person. If it were a normal person, they would probably have fainted from drooling. Huang Bin, on the other hand, could still move, which was a testament to his strength. Huang Bin had no time to be proud of his resistance. He reached out to grab Fang Ping. Fong Ping had been prepared for this. He quickly took a few steps back. Huang Bin was slightly stunned. Fong Ping also noticed that he was not in a good state. Needless to say, this guy had tried to grab him just now. It was obvious that he was not a good person. According to the logic of a good person, if he was not feeling well, the first thing he would do would be to ask Fong Ping to call a doctor. However, this guy wanted to grab him. If he was a good person, Fong Ping would have swallowed the staff in his hand. At this moment, Fong Ping was completely sure that all his previous guesses were true. He hesitated no more. There was a martial artist who wanted to cause trouble for him. He might even want his life. There was no need to be polite to people like this. His right hand, which was behind his back, lifted the staff and swung it at Huang Bin's head. "It's this little B** starred. That was Huang Bin's first reaction. The other party had been guarding against him and had even prepared a staff. Even if his mind was not in a clear state, he knew who had set him up. It was not an enemy, nor was it someone from the Department of Investigation Services. It was definitely not one of those foreign martial artists. He, Huang Bin, had been tricked by a stupid kid. B** starred. He did not curse, nor did he have the time to. The moment Fong Ping's staff fell, Huang Bin raised his right hand, not to counterattack, but to block his head. If it had been any other time, he would have kicked Fong Ping to death the moment the staff had landed before he had even been hit. Now, however, his limbs were weak. The fact that he could still stand was a testament to his strong willpower. Bang! The staff did not hit Huang Bin's head. Instead, it hit Huang Bin's arm. The look in Fong Ping's eyes changed. If a normal person took a hit like that, it would be lucky if they did not break a bone. However, when his staff hit Huang Bin's arm, it was as if he had hit a cement floor. The staff bounced back. Although he did not know how terrifying martial artists were, Fong Ping realized how strong his opponent's physique was. These thoughts flashed through his mind. Fong Ping did not have time to think. He had not dared to use his full strength, for fear of killing someone. He could not care less now. He pulled the staff back and swung it again with all his might. Bang! The staff was blocked by Huang Bin's arm again. The pain from the two hits helped Huang Bin shake off his stupor. When he thought about how he had been tricked by a stupid kid, Huang Bin was furious. He bit the tip of his tongue viciously. In an instant, Huang Bin seemed to have gained some motivation. He took a small step toward the door. Then, Huang Bin stopped defending himself. He swung his fists forward with all his might. He was a peak rank 2 martial artist. Even at this stage, he wanted this B** starred to know that he could not trick martial artists. Naturally, Fong Ping saw his opponent move. There was no time to think. As Huang Bin swung his fists, Fong Ping swung his staff again. Gotcha! Fong Ping's expression changed drastically. Huang Bin's fist looked slow. It did not even look like he was gathering strength. However, the staff in his hand broke when he swung his fist. The web between Fong Ping's thumb and forefinger was also hit by the rebound of the staff. His thumb and forefinger ached instantly, and his entire hand felt numb. Enduring the pain, Fong Ping did not dare to let go of the broken staff. He continued swinging the remaining half of the staff at Huang Bin's head. The blow just now had reached Huang Bin's limit. At this moment, Huang Bin could not feel the existence of his limbs. Bang! The staff hit Huang Bin's head for the first time. It did not break and bleed as Fong Ping had imagined. Huang Bin's head was tougher than the average person's. Fong Ping almost cursed in his heart. Was this a martial artist? Not only did he not faint after using so many drugs, he still had the strength to fight back. When he did not have the strength to fight back, his bones were tougher than the average person's. Fong Ping's hand was numb. He did not have time to think about this. Fong Ping used all his strength. His face was red as he swung the staff at Huang Bin again and again. At this moment, Fong Ping did not even think about whether he would kill Huang Bin. It was too terrifying. A person like this actually wanted to fight him. If he did not strike first to gain the upper hand, Huang Bin could have killed him with one slap. Huang Bin could no longer stand. Fong Ping swung the staff a few times. Huang Bin's legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. Huang Bin had not completely fainted yet. His eyes were wide open, glaring at Fong Ping as if he wanted to scare him away with his gaze. Fong Ping did not even look at his gaze. Even though the other had collapsed, Fong Ping still swung the remaining half of the staff at him. First, he hit the head. When he saw blood seeping out of Huang Bin's forehead, Fong Ping immediately changed his target. His hands, legs, chest. Fong Ping attacked every area that could possibly pose a threat to him again and again. In the corridor, only the dull sound of the staff hitting flesh and Fong Ping's heavy breathing could be heard. Fong Ping did not know how many times he had hit Huang Bin with the staff. He only stopped when his limbs had gone limp, panting heavily. Only then did Fong Ping look at Huang Bin. Huang Bin, who had collapsed to the ground, had a blood-red head. His limbs were spasming and twitching from the heavy blows. His chest rose and fell slightly, proving that he was still alive. Fong Ping panted for a while, feeling a lingering fear. He did not dare to imagine what would have happened if he had not drugged his opponent. It was not Fong Ping's first time fighting. This time, however, it was not a fight. He had hit someone who could not fight back. He had hit him until his limbs went limp and he was panting heavily. This was really the first time. Fong Ping licked his dry lips and carefully kicked Huang Bin. The other party did not react. Fong Ping looked around. It was broad daylight, and everyone else had gone to work. The corridor was very quiet. He looked at Huang Bin, who had collapsed at the door. Fong Ping's head hurt. This guy was too dangerous. Would he wake up later? Without much hesitation, Fong Ping picked up the staff and hit Huang Bin a few more times. Huang Bin's body was only twitching. This confirmed Fong Ping's suspicions that the other party had no strength left. Fong Ping put down the staff and strode into the house. He dragged Huang Bin inside and quickly closed the door. In the room, Fong Ping looked around and found a blanket. He turned Huang Bin around and wrapped him in it. This method of binding the body was more reliable than using rope. Worried that one blanket was not enough, Fong Ping looked around and found another blanket. He wrapped Huang Bin in it again. Then, he wrapped the blanket around him again, leaving only Huang Bin's head outside. Still worried that it was not enough, Fong Ping did not find rope on the second floor, but he did find a bundle of iron wire. Then, Fong Ping wrapped the iron wire around the blanket and tied it tightly. He tied it round and round, and finally used a pair of pliers to twist the joint. Only then did Fong Ping wipe the sweat off his forehead. He panted and said, "If you can break free from this, then you're good." The other party's limbs were slightly fractured. He did not know if they were broken. Now that his limbs were tied up, there was no room for him to exert strength. He was wrapped in several layers, and the outermost layer was wrapped in iron wire. If the other party could break free like this, then he was really superhuman. After tying him up, Fong Ping stuck 5 or 6 layers of adhesive tape inside and out, sealing his mouth. At this time, Fong Ping suddenly felt that something was wrong. He mumbled, "Why do I feel like the villain?" He could not help but think that way. He had broken into someone's house, drugged them, beat them half to death, tied them up, and even sealed their mouths. Was that not something a villain would do? If Huang Bin was a woman, it would be even more believable. Fong Ping's cheeks twitched. If anyone barged in now, no one would think that he was a good person. He shook his head and stared at Huang Bin. Fong Ping's head hurt again. Now that the other party was in this state, it would not be easy to deal with him. He was now sure that this guy was a bad guy. However, if he could not find any evidence and just handed him over to the police, it would not just be a matter of criticism and education. Fong Ping had not planned to be ruthless at first. He just wanted to knock him out. However, the other party did not faint even after 10 times the dosage and could even fight back. He had no choice but to be ruthless. This is going to be troublesome. Chapter 28, Unit 201. In the living room, looking at Huang Bin, who was tied up, Fong Ping felt a lingering fear. He blamed himself for being too impulsive. Although he had always suspected that the guy was a martial artist, he did not expect a martial artist to be this strong. To Fong Ping, Sun City was just a small place. Here, even a martial arts university student like Wang Jinyang was revered. Martial artists were rarely seen. That was why Fong Ping judged that even if the guy upstairs was a martial artist, he was not strong. How strong could a low-ranked martial artist who had just left the realm of normal people be? Knocking him out with 10 times the amount of knockout drug would be a piece of cake. The result was unexpected. Fang Ping was glad that he did not stay and chose to wait instead. Otherwise, if Huang Bin still had strength left, he would be in deep trouble. Thinking about this, Fang Ping sat on the floor and rested for a while. Then, he got up and started searching the house. He was not sure if he could find any evidence of a crime. After all, the guy had just moved in. Regardless, he had to find a way to get out of this. If he really could not find it, Fang Ping was considering whether he should frame this guy. Modern society was not ancient times. If it were ancient times, no one would care if he was killed and thrown into a mass grave. Now that someone was dead, he had to investigate. As for how to frame him, Fang Ping was already considering whether he should hurt himself to gain the confidence of others. No one would believe that he could take down a martial artist so easily. They would not believe that he, a high school student, had nothing better to do than to scheme against a martial artist. Fang Ping stopped thinking about this and started searching the house. 10 minutes later, Fang Ping walked into the living room with a large package. Huang Bin had brought almost nothing of his own. Other than some daily necessities, he only had a change of clothes. In the end, Fang Ping found the parcel on the balcony. It seemed that this was Huang Bin's belongings. After staring at the package for a while, Fang Ping muttered to himself and unzipped it. The moment the zipper was undone, Fang Ping's pupils contracted. The first thing that caught his eye was a Mitsubishi military knife almost 40 centimeters long. Someone from the military? Fang Ping gulped, but he quickly shook his head. Although the Mitsubishi bayonet was considered a military item, it had been gradually phased out by the military in recent years. There were still a lot of people selling these things. On the contrary, there were very few soldiers who carried such things. Exhaling slightly, Fang Ping reached out and took the general bayonet in his hand, sizing it up. Fang Ping could not help but glance at Huang Bin, who was wrapped up tightly, when he saw some dried blood stains in the blood groove. This guy might have killed someone before. Even if he hadn't killed anyone, this bayonet had seen blood. He carefully placed the stiletto aside, far away from Huang Bin. Fang Ping dared not let this guy have a chance to touch it. After removing the bayonet, what Fang Ping saw next was none other than the bright red banknotes in the bag. Stacks and stacks of bills were stuffed messily in the bag, while others were scattered. Fang Ping hurriedly took out the notes and counted them. There were 20 stacks of notes in total, which should be 200,000. On the other hand, there were less than 10,000 banknotes scattered around. Fang Ping did not count them in detail. These days, there weren't many people who carried so much cash. Other than some businessmen, very few people would carry such a large amount of cash outside, especially a renter like Huang Bin. Fang Ping completely ruled out the other party's military identity, and he was sure that he was not from the government. No one from the government would carry so much cash when they were being monitored. Lone traveler? Fugitive? These two identities were Fang Ping's first thought. Carrying a large amount of cash outside, and considering Huang Bin's usual secretive behavior, Fang Ping felt that he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Huang Bin was probably not a decent person. A few minutes later, Fang Ping laid out all the loot in the bag in front of him. One Mitsubishi bayonet, less than 210,000 in cash, one set of clothes to change into. There were also some bottles and cans, 6 of them in total. 3 of them had advertising logos on them. They were similar to normal medicine bottles, with the name of the medicine, 2 bottles of blood and chi replenishing pills, and 1 bottle of vitality pills. There was the date of manufacture, the manufacturer, and the address of the manufacturer. They were legitimate, legal medicine. Fang Ping counted the blood and chi replenishing pills. There were 18 pills in total from the 2 bottles. The medicine bottles were all packed with 10 pills, so Huang Bin must have eaten 2. There were 8 vitality pills left, and he had eaten 2 of them. Fang Ping's breathing was heavy. He had heard Wu Zhihao mention the names of the blood and chi replenishing pills before. In a regular pharmacy, blood and chi replenishing pills cost 30,000 yuan each, while vitality pills cost 100,000 yuan each. For Wu Zhihao and the others, buying a vitality pill before the Gaokao was their best bet. 100,000 yuan was not a small amount. Even Wu Jihao's family would feel the pinch from buying such a pill. What about now? There were 18 blood and chi replenishing pills and 8 vitality pills in front of him. According to the pharmacy's prices, these 2 pills alone would cost 34 million. Including the cash, the total value was more than 5 million. Not to forget, there were 3 bottles of items that Fang Ping did not recognize. Fang Ping opened them and looked at them for a while. They were also round pills. Obviously, they were also pills used by martial artists. However, these 3 bottles of pills did not have names. For a moment, Fang Ping could not guess what kind of pills these bottles contained. No matter what they were, they would not be cheap. The pills used by martial artists were very expensive. This could be seen from the vitality pills. Vitality pills were commonly used by martial science exam candidates who were not martial artists. The guy lying in front of him was a real martial artist, so the pills he used might be better and more expensive. Fang Ping's knowledge was too limited. He could not judge the value of these things in a short time. Apart from these, the rest were some food and mineral water. 6 bottles of pills, about 200,000 yuan in cash, and a military knife. These were the items Fang Ping had found so far. Fang Ping could not help but glance at Huang Bin. He had forgotten to search Huang Bin when he had tied him up. From the configuration of his bag, he had food and weapons, so there was a high chance that he would run away at any time. People like him usually did not keep their most precious items in their bags. After all, there was a chance that the bag could be discarded. Good things should be kept on him, if they were not big. Fang Ping thought that this guy might still have other good things on him. However, Huang Bin was wrapped up in a few layers, so Fang Ping did not dare to let him go and search him. He turned his attention to the items in front of him. Fang Ping frowned slightly. He had the money. His wealth, however, did not increase. Logically speaking, the pills were also valuable. Similarly, his wealth did not increase. In that case, according to the system's judgment, these items still did not belong to Fang Ping. It made sense. These items still belonged to Huang Bin. Huang Bin was not dead, and he did not say that he would give these items to Fang Ping. Naturally, they belonged to Huang Bin. Even if Fang Ping got them, he would not be able to increase his wealth. Soon, Fang Ping thought that Huang Bin was now under his control. If he ate the pills, they would also be considered his. However, the system did not increase his wealth. This meant that money was not the same as wealth. Or perhaps, the system did not encourage this kind of behavior. Fang Ping could not come to a conclusion at the moment. He shook his head and temporarily put these thoughts aside. His priority was not his wealth, but Huang Bin's. He had only found these items. Although he could tell from the weapons and cash that Huang Bin was not a good person, there was no direct evidence to prove that he was a bad person. Also, what should he do with these items that were worth more than 1,000,000 yuan? If he called the police, did he have to hand them all in? Fang Ping was reluctant. He wondered if he should keep some of them and hide them. After all, he had risked his life this time. In reality, he was not hurt at all. It was just that the web between his thumb and forefinger had cracked slightly when he was hacking at Huang Bin. A few minutes later, Fang Ping stuffed the items back into his bag. He looked at Huang Bin. After staring at the unconscious Huang Bin for a while, Fang Ping suddenly said, "Martial artists are really powerful. He drank so much medicine and was beaten up by me, but he woke up so quickly." Huang Bin did not move. Fang Ping sneered and said disdainfully, "Do you think I'm a 3-year-old?" When he was unconscious, his breathing was erratic, and his body was twitching. Now, he's not moving at all. He's pretending to be dead. Either he's really dead, or he's awake. Don't you know what it means to bury one's head in the sand? If you didn't hold your breath, I wouldn't have noticed. You were breathing loudly just now, and now it's gone. Do you really think my ears are that bad? There were only the 2 of them in the small living room. The room was so quiet that Huang Bin, whose mouth was gagged, was breathing loudly. However, in that instant, the sound had disappeared. Fang Ping was not deaf. Huang Bin probably did not realize that he had subconsciously held his breath when he was unconscious. He did not know that this was his biggest weakness. At Fang Ping's words, Huang Bin, who had been closing his eyes, slowly opened them. He scanned the visible area. Fong Ping was the only one there. Huang Bin let out a sigh of relief. It was much better than he had expected. He had thought that the moment he woke up, he would already be in the Department of Investigation Services. The person in front of him might be the fat guy from Sun City. In the end, there was only Fong Ping. This was the best ending he could have imagined. If he had entered the Department of Investigation Services, he would not have been able to escape in his previous state, much less in his current state. Now, he still had a chance to escape. His head was still swollen, and his body was covered in layers. Even Huang Bin could not break free. Thoughts spun rapidly in his mind. Huang Bin looked at Fong Ping, his eyes moving. At this moment, he could not open his mouth to speak. Fong Ping was wary. He took out his bayonet from his bag and kept a distance from him. "Do you want to talk? But I don't want to give you the chance to speak. I think it's better to hand a dangerous person like you over to the police." Woo-woo, Huang Bin struggled for a while. His head swayed, and he lifted his chin to point at the bag in front of Fong Ping. He saw that the bag was intact and thought that Fong Ping had not opened it. There was a lot of cash and pills that Fong Ping could use. Huang Bin thought that a child from a normal family like Fong Ping would be tempted. As long as he was given the chance to speak, he was confident that he could escape. Chapter 29. Fong Ping understood one thing. Villains died because they talked too much. Huang Bin wanted to say something, but he did not want the other party to say anything. However, he knew too little about many things. His status meant that he could not obtain any useful information. Even if he was unwilling, Fong Ping was prepared to let Huang Bin talk to him. He was not afraid of the guy's screams. He did not look like a good person. Otherwise, he would not have struggled when he said he would hand him over to the police. A few minutes later, Huang Bin began to pant violently. Fong Ping had wrapped him too tightly and sealed his mouth. His chest seemed to have fractured. This made it difficult for him to breathe. The first thing Huang Bin did after Fong Ping used the bayonet to prick a hole in the tape was to breathe. After panting for a while, Huang Bin turned his head to look at Fong Ping, who was walking away from him. His eyes were bloodshot. He did not expect to fall into this kid's hands. Huang Bin could not help but ask, "We have no grudges, right?" He could not understand why this kid wanted to hurt him. He could accept it if it was a martial artist, but the other party was not even one. Fong Ping did not answer him directly. He could not say that he had suspected the other party was going to hurt him, so he attacked first. In reality, Fong Ping had a vague feeling that he might have been mistaken. This guy might not have wanted to hurt him, but to hide his identity. Looking at the cash, weapons, food, and water he had prepared, it was more likely that he was a fugitive. Could Fong Ping admit that he had made a mistake, though? When Huang Bin asked, Fong Ping said casually, "I'm a good student. Catching bad guys is our duty." "Duty, my ass." Huang Bin cursed in his heart. He had traveled far and wide, yet he had fallen into this little bastard's hands. He would not be satisfied even if he died. Fong Ping did not give him a chance to ask. He took out the bottles of pills from his bag. "What kind of medicine are these bottles of pills? Don't hide it from me. I can find out if you're lying." Huang Bin did not hide it. Just as Fong Ping said, he could find out if he wanted to. Huang Bin was relieved that the kid had his eyes on these things. It was good that he had something to ask for. 3 of them have labels. You should have seen them. 2 bottles of blood and chi replenishing pills, and 1 bottle of vitality pills. Do martial artists need pills like this? Of course. Huang Bin immediately said, "These are all medicines to replenish vitality. Martial artists also need to replenish their vitality. It's impossible to replenish it with food every time. So most martial artists have blood and chi replenishing pills and blood and chi replenishing pills with them." Fong Ping understood. He picked up a slightly smaller medicine bottle and asked, "What's inside?" "This is also a vitality pill, but it's not the ordinary kind. It's a first-grade vitality pill." Huang Bin added, "High-grade vitality pills are mainly used for martial artists' final breakthroughs. A rank 1 vitality pill like this was a must-have for prospective martial artists. It was used when they were about to break through to martial artist. It could replenish more chi and blood. But for me, it's mainly used to replenish my chi and blood." It's much more useful than blood and chi-replenishing pills and ordinary blood and chi-replenishing pills during battles and long-distance raids. Elixirs are divided into grades? Huang Bin didn't answer. This was nonsense. When he saw Fang Ping holding the bayonet and looking for a place to attack, Huang Bin said immediately, "There are different ranks. It's the same as martial artists." "How much for one?" There were not many rank 1 vitality pills. Fang Ping took a look and saw only 3. 300,000. Fang Ping felt a headache coming on. Martial artists really treated money like it was nothing. Just a pill could cost hundreds of thousands. The market price of blood and chi-replenishing pills and ordinary blood and chi-replenishing pills was 1.34 million. Including the 3 rank 1 vitality pills, that was 2.24 million. Fang Ping pointed at the remaining 2 bottles of pills. Huang Bin answered honestly, one is a bone-honing pill, and the other is a viscera-shielding pill. There were even fewer pills in these 2 bottles. Although they were called bottles, there was only 1 pill in each. This time, Fang Ping didn't need to ask. Huang Bin said cooperatively, bone-honing pill, as the name suggests, is a pill used to hone the strength of bones. Martial artists, especially low-ranked ones, mainly cultivated their skeletons. Only strong bones can support vitality outbursts. External training of muscles, bones, skin, and meridians are not considered serious injuries to martial artists. Only bones are different. They heal extremely slowly. That's why martial artists train their bones first. That way, whether it's vitality outbursts or normal cultivation, they won't hurt their bodies too badly. It's the same during battles. Bones are weak. If you punch and your bones break, you won't be able to continue fighting. Only with strong bones can one have a strong physique. Viscera shielding pill is also related to its name. It's mainly used to protect the internal organs. The human body's internal organs are very weak. Low-ranked martial artists can't cultivate their internal organs yet. At this time, it's fine for normal cultivation, but once you break through, the viscera shielding pill is very necessary. Without the viscera shielding pill to protect your internal organs, once your vitality outbursts exceed your limit, your internal organs will be damaged. After explaining for a while, Huang Bin said hurriedly, "These are the pills I used to break through to rank 3. They're extremely expensive." The school would not provide resources for a second try. Li Yuanjiang did not succeed on his first try, so he had to pay for his second try himself. For a martial arts university student who was not a martial artist, including daily expenses, he would need to prepare at least 1 million to break through again. If he was not a martial artist, how could he earn that much money? People like Wang Jinyang had broken through on their first try. Some of them only needed 1 vitality pill. The resources provided by the school were more than enough. Once they became martial artists, they would have a way to earn money. This was the main reason why the strong became stronger and the weak became weaker. If they could not take the first step, it was normal for some martial arts university students to not become martial artists even after graduation. Fang Ping had gained some information from Huang Bin's words. Not only was this guy a martial artist, but he was also not a rank 1 martial artist. He was a rank 2 martial artist who was ready to break through. Fang Ping felt a lingering fear when he thought of this. He had been too impulsive. Impulsiveness was the devil. He had to be more careful next time. Huang Bin's eyes flashed when he saw Fang Ping clenching the bottle tightly. He said in a low voice, "These are all yours now. Including the cash in the bag, they're worth more than 5 million. But if you hand me over to the police or the Department of Investigation Services, they'll definitely take these things away." At that moment, Huang Bin's only thought was not to be sent to the police station by Fang Ping. The police station was full of normal people, so he was not afraid. However, a wanted criminal like him had a record in the police station. As long as he was recognized, he would be transferred to the Department of Investigation Services immediately. Once he entered the Department of Investigation Services, even a rank 4 would have to kneel before him in their lair, much less a rank 2. Now, he could only tempt them with benefits. Wealth of more than 5 million. Had this kid ever seen so much money in his life? Noticing Fang Ping's silence, Huang Bin said immediately, "Don't even think about silencing me." The clues I've set up can only divert the authorities' attention for 10 days to half a month at most. In a few more days, the other party will definitely find me. If I die, you won't be able to escape. You're still young, and you have a bright future ahead of you. I can see that your vitality is very high, and there's hope for you to enter the martial sciences. If you perish together with me, the losses outweigh the gains. If you let me go now, I'll leave immediately and leave all these things to you. You don't have to worry about your safety. I won't take revenge. Huang Bin continued. You can arrange for someone to wait at the entrance of the police station or call the police at any time. If I wanted to take revenge on you, I wouldn't be able to escape. If something happens to you, Sun City will definitely lock me down and capture me. Therefore, I will not take such a risk. My life is more important than money. I haven't lived long enough. What do you think? Huang Bin's words were sincere. Most of them were true. As for the fact that he would not take revenge, Huang Bin did not believe it himself. This time, he had been tricked by this kid. If he did not kill this guy, he would not be able to rest easy for the rest of his life. Just as Huang Bin was waiting for Fang Ping to speak, Fang Ping suddenly laughed. You still have some good stuff on you, don't you? Maybe even more valuable than these pills. TSK. A rank 2 martial artist carrying around items worth tens of millions. Martial artists are so *king rich. The corner of Huang Bin's mouth twitched. At a time like this, Fang Ping was still in the mood to care about money? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.